And we are live. Welcome to About That Life podcast. If you're here checking out the YouTube algorithm, I appreciate it. If you're first time here, maybe think about hitting that like and subscribe. Really appreciate it. I got two great coaches for you guys to say some good stories, some good experience. I've known these guys quite a while. I've coached against them, had some good conversations with them. Both gentlemen here are very established in their programs. Check out the episode. And remember, hit that like and subscribe. Help a brother out. Do the HBO special. Be appreciated. Thanks.
Phoenix Fitness 24/7 basketball facility in Rocklin, California. It's About That Life podcast with your host, Coach C. Collins and Coach MJ.
Start 3, 2, 1, let's go.
Hey, welcome to About That Life podcast. I'm Coach C. Collins. Coach MJ can't be here tonight because he's out working, doing his own thing. I think he's even doing some family stuff, which is always good. So shout out to Coach MJ. If you're here listening to the show, much appreciated. Again, think about hitting that like and subscribe. If you're listening to the audio side, you can hit that follow, and then check us out on the YouTube after you watch the audio. Obviously some people like to put faces to names, so I got two great guests for you guys today. But before I get into that, let me get a quick shout out to my sponsors. Shout out to Dr. Dish, best shooting machine on the market. You guys have helped my kids improve quite a bit, and they can help you out as well. So go ahead and hit them up and tell them About That Life sent you, and they'll hook you up with a discount. So let's get to my guests. The guy to my left is a very well-established coach. He is very prevalent on the women's side. He also, like I said, I've seen him coach for as long as I can remember. And he's been doing this thing for a long time. He runs a program called North Dynasty. Love their uniforms, love their colors. Good job, Coach. And he's been doing this a long time. We've had a lot of good conversations. We even play some old man hoop on the men's league together, so that's always fun too. That definitely me and him have had a lot of fun, insightful conversations. So I'm really happy that he's on this show. This is Coach Tran. And then for my second guest, this is a guy I've literally seen, again, evolve with the game and with the AAU platform as long as I can remember. I tried to recruit his son last year, but unfortunately he didn't play for me, which sucks. But the kid's a great kid, great player, and he had a great AAU season rolling into his senior season at Rocklin High. I think Rocklin High is poised to win sections, if not at least compete for a state title right now, because they got all the pieces, in my opinion, to get it done. But no, he's been doing this a long time. He coaches a program called Hawaii Heat. Or is it Huey? Or am I saying
Hawaii?
Hawaii Heat. Okay, just making sure.
No, you're good.
And then but again, both these guys are veteran coaches. They've been doing this a long time. Coach Mel, who's the coach for Hawaii Heat, he has a YouTube channel, a really good following. Check him out. Links for both these guys will be in the description as always. Links to their IGs. For Coach Mel, his YouTube channel, all that stuff. So please hit a follow, check them out, check out their journey. But without further ado, I want to introduce Coach Mel and Coach Tom. Appreciate you guys being here.
Yeah, my pleasure, man. My pleasure. I love the studio, Coach. Look at this, man.
Thank you, man.
I like it. It looks different. It looks different in person, but it's cool. I like the setup, man. I like the whole memorabilia vibe, and it's real like personal too. So
That's
it's
what I
like
try to
up
do.
close and personal. It's cool, man. We're just relaxing, having a good time. Coach Tom and I just got done coaching over at Hardwood Palace. So
That's always fun.
yeah, we're still kind of hyped up from coaching. So yeah, I was super excited that we got together to do this, man.
I know.
Shoot, it took forever with
know.
our schedules, and so everything kind of lined up. And yeah, man, I'm excited, man. I've been watching you grow, and I've been watching the pods and your guests, and you're doing your thing, man. I'm proud of you, man. This dude is grinding, man.
I try, bro.
And we talked off camera. It's
Yeah.
all about being like consistent on this whole, platform of social media. It's the hardest thing to do. So if anybody understands the grind, I do, man. And so I tip my hat off to you, my man.
Thank
So
you, sir.
Yeah.
So, well, let me get down to the first question, which, like I said, it's a pretty general question. Why don't you guys talk briefly about, and again, if people are curious in more in depth to who these guys are and what they do in terms of their influence for the AAU basketball scene, please, again, go check them out. But you guys give me a brief overview of your program, kind of, your motivations, your origin story to a degree, if you want to do that, and give our audience out there, who you guys are.
All right. You want me to go first, Tom, or you want to
Go ahead. Yep.
All right. Okay. So Coach Mel Marasco, let's see here. Where do I even start? Originally from Hawaii, moved to the mainland when I was about 8 years old. So I grew up in Southern California, moved out to Northern California about 2001-ish, and had a son. But before I had my son, I was an official for 10 years. So I got to do the whole section finals, and my ultimate goal as an official was to work at Arco Arena when Arco Arena was going down. So that was my ultimate goal. I just set my bar reachable. A lot of guys go in there and they try to set that bar at getting to college level and NBA, and I'm just like, hey, listen, I want to learn the game. I love the game. And so I reached that goal, and then I actually dip my toe into some college too as well, and then did some NBA camps. But for me as a basketball coach, I want to honestly say that because of my referee background for 10 years, it made me a really good coach, being that, I speak the language to the referees, so I know how to communicate with them. I just know where they're supposed to be. I don't really get on them because of their play calling, because play calling is play calling.
Yeah.
They got a different angle for where I'm at, so I never argue with that. But my biggest pet peeve is rules. If I'm a rules guy, if you don't know the rules, I'm like, I lose it, man. So, I know like 80% of the referees, and so I do have a little bit of leeway because I know them and they're kind of my boys. But once you jump ship and you leave the referee world and you're a coach, oh, you're the enemy now.
the enemy,
I'm out of the club, So it was a thing that I wanted to do. A lot of my peers were saying, you got to stay with it, because I was getting these opportunities. And, I worked an NBA camp in Vegas, got to see and work and meet a lot of Division I college coaches, the top players, in the nation. And then I was liked by one of the assigners, and he needed me to be in Arizona the next weekend, but I'm a blue collar worker. I don't have the time to just go to Arizona the next weekend. Yeah. So I'm like, man, it's a cool opportunity. He's like, I need you to fly out next weekend. And I'm like, I can't do that. But I was like, okay. So I just, I missed that opportunity, but it wasn't a dream of mine to work in the NBA. It was I was super wow, thanks, but it wasn't my thing. So my whole thing was coaching, because if I did that, I would miss out on coaching. And the main thing was coaching my son, which was really cool at the time, which we can get into the deeper parts of it, coaching your sons and being under that microscope too, because it's a different beast when you have to be very aware. And so with my background of officiating, it made me aware of the game, like managing the game, all the little things. So as a coach, I started coaching, I'm going to say AAU. I started with the Yellow Jackets in 2012, 2013, coached for them for 2 years. And then, it started to get a little weird. I had 8-year-olds saying, I need to touch the ball more. And I'm like, whoa. Hey, hold on. Yeah, we haven't even learned how to set screens yet, And so I just saw the parents were kind of trying to take over the team. It wasn't really my vibe. So my assistant coach, I told him, shout out to Ken Ramey. A lot of people know Ken Ramey. He's an official too as well. But we were coaching. We started this whole Yellow Jacket journey together. And then after the second year, I say, hey, man, I could already see where this team is going. And, you can't give parents that much leeway because they'll try to run the show.
Yes,
and that's where I saw it was going. So I just said, I'm going to back out. I'm going to go back down to, Roseville, Rocklin, because the majority of the kids were in South Sac, the Elk Grove area. And I was driving out there twice a week. We had practice and stuff. So to come back here, I said, you know what? I'm just going to start my own team. I kind of know what I want to do. I'm a system guy. I can't get like kids from different places and just play on the weekends type of thing. So I need a core group of boys. So I just went old school. I was that creep in the crowd over at Hollywood Palace trying to scout kids. I'm like, and all the good kids are good.
Right.
All the good kids, they're gone. They're all gone. They're playing with other teams. So I was looking for kids that were like, I can see a little something in them.
Right.
And I think I have a really good skill set when it comes to that. So I see the athleticism, the hustle.
Go up to their parents. Hey, I was staring at your kid.
Exactly. It's so awkward, man. I'm like, hey, so my name is Coach Mel, and I run a program. And they're like, and I've been watching your son for an hour. And they're like, what the hell? You know what I mean? And we're talking like fourth graders, So I'm trying to build this team. And thank God for social media because I had a pretty good following with Instagram and Facebook. And I said, hey, here are my links. Go check them out.
Nice.
And that's like a resume. It really does help. And they see what I'm doing. And they're like, whoa, that's cool. So building the team like in 2015, Hawaii Heat. And then now 2023, still doing it. Mm-hmm. And that's kind of like where my story starts, and like I'm still continuing to coach. So, but I love the coaching side of it. Ever since I started coaching, I stopped officiating. So everyone's like, "Hey, what are you going to do?" I go, "I'm going to quit." And they're like, and I was like one of the top tier officials in the area, and so for me to make that decision, I was getting a lot of flack from all the referees. They were like, "What are you doing, dude?" And I go, "Hey, this is not what I wanted to do. Certain things as an official." And I achieved those goals, which was cool. And I, got to work there and do this and do that. But like, I love coaching my son. I love coaching the boys. I'm not going to be able to do it. I missed one game and I felt like crap. I was like, nah, I can't do this. I don't want to miss any more games. And so talking to my boy, Ken Ramey, who him and I were coaching together, he continued to officiate and he went pretty far, D2, D3. I don't know if he got to D1 yet, but he looks back at it now. He missed so many of his son's games, and he goes, dude, I wish I did what you did.
Right.
I missed so much of KJ's, basketball. And he goes, that was probably the best move and ballsy move too. And I go, yeah, it was just, I didn't want to miss anything. So doing it for the love of the sport, but also the love of my son, and he loves the sport. And yeah, to be honest with you, he was a really good baseball player. Mm-hmm. He wasn't even going to, I don't think in my eyes, be a really good basketball player. It just got to a point where baseball's so demanding. And so it was like, hey, dude, we got to buckle down. Dad can't do both. So we got to pick a sport. And I was hoping he was going to say baseball. And I'm not even a baseball guy. Yeah. I just saw his talent. I'm like, dude, you're really good at baseball. And he goes, I want to play basketball. And I'm like, dude, do you really? I was trying to talk him out of it, which is weird. And everyone, they trip out on the story because I go, he was so good in baseball. And he goes, yeah, Dad, I want to play basketball. I said, all right, man, Dad's going to support you, man. And, if you want to go balls to the wall, let's do it. And his work ethic as a young kid, it was just insane. Wanting to shoot baskets outside. We didn't have the luxury of the gym yet.
Right.
So he was outside shooting in the rain, and I would video him shooting in the rain. And I was like, wow, that's kind of cool. But then I'm working all day. I come home, and he's like wanting to shoot, and I'm tired. But as a dad, I knew this day was going to come to an end, and I just got to take advantage of it. So if I got to shag balls when I'm tired, I'm going to shag balls for him. And I'm just so happy. Now that he's a senior, I look back, and there was a time when I was coaching him. I'm like, dude, if you don't want to do this anymore, I'm good.
Yeah.
I don't want to make it look like I'm living through you. And because there's a weird fine line when you coach as a dad and coach and be a coach. So you got to kind of separate the two.
Oh, yeah. We're going to definitely.
Okay. I don't know if we want to jump into it now. We'll get to it later.
Yeah.
Okay,
after
cool.
Tom, we'll definitely.
That's something that I think a lot of the viewers will find super. Well, it'll help them, especially if there's dads out there that are coaching or moms that are coaching. you're under a microscope, and we'll get to it later with my experiences. And so, but yeah, that's pretty much my story. Still coaching, still active. I got an 8-year-old and a 10-year-old now. So just like I'm starting all over again. And this AAU world has changed since I started in 2012, 2013, and now we're at 2023. I'm just like going into 24. I'm like, what the hell's going on, man?
The landscape's different.
But yeah, totally different, man. And so, but I'm enjoying being a coach. And then, of course, my officiating career is pretty much a wrap. You know, I never looked back like, oh, I wish I could have gone back. Or people are still asking me to this day. I mean, they'll still come to me and, hey, Mel, you want to work? And I'm like, nah, dude, I'm good, man. I'm done, man. So, but yeah, that's kind of like my story.
Okay.
So, yeah, man.
So now your turn.
I'm Tom Tran. I'm the director of NorCal Dynasty. I've been coaching for 23 years now. So I started in rec ball, and what got me into coaching was I had a horrible experience as like a 7th grade kid. I had a coach curse me out in a rec league game, and I basically just steered away from basketball. I did not want to play basketball anymore. I did not want to have anything to do with basketball. And I told myself, you know, at 7th grade, I was like 13. I told myself that if I ever became a coach, I wanted to do the opposite of what that coach did to me. I didn't want someone to like steer me away from loving the game, and I wanted to make sure that I could help someone. So then literally turned 16 and I just started coaching rec ball, and I had never played 1 year of organized basketball in my life. I got cut as a high school freshman.
Okay.
And then everything I've learned have been just off life experience. I'm a huge life experience person. I learned from other coaches watching. I watched the game a lot. And I guess 23 years later, now I'm coaching around 90 to 100 kids now in my club. So, literally just started with one group of kids. And then I just always told myself that I wanted to make sure that I was like a mentor to a lot of the youth and just teaching them life lessons that, because we all know, us three know that there's, like we've always talked about, there's a 7% chance of these kids playing basketball in college.
Absolutely.
And there's 93% that are not going to play college sports. And I always tell kids, hey, that is totally fine, but you can learn a lot of life lessons playing the sport and take it into the real world, right?
Absolutely.
So it was cool. Like last week, I actually went to one of my players' weddings. She didn't play any college sports. She invited me to the wedding, and we just talked about.
I think I saw that on your IG or something.
She just
talked
about cool. Like what basketball meant and what it meant to be on a team, and like what she learned from that. And I think that's what I'm trying to keep on instilling in all these kids nowadays.
Well, then I want to delve more into your side of it in terms of, because me and Ted and all of us really joke all the time, but like, no, you really do and again, this is just from my outside looking in, I think you do a great job on the girl side, for sure. Like you're a big influence and advocate for that, or advocate for the women's side of the game, and but you coach both. You know what I mean? Like I coach boys. I don't coach girls. So I don't, and I think it's the same for you, coach. So I don't do that. So what would you say is obviously some, significant, at least one or two significant differences between coaching the women's side and the men's side?
Man, so I've been doing girls for 6 years now. And I'll be honest with you, the reason why I did girls was because I got pressured by a whole bunch of parents. And back in the day, I used to ref like recreational games, right? So nothing like Coach Mel, but I used to rec games, and the scores would be like 4-2, 8-6, and I was like, I will never coach a girls game in my life.
Funny how that works.
Hey,
right?
how many jump balls?
Oh God, jump balls, travels, it's just the whole time, right? And so I was literally stalked by a group of parents who I coached their brothers, and they said, hey, would you want to coach this group of girls? And it was literally Whitney High School was just kind of forming, their program. And I had 5 Whitney girls and 5 Delaware girls. And we're like, hey, we'll coach them for the fall. And all of a sudden, we're putting up like 60 to 80 points a game. And just like it was just like a little fun AU too. And then all of a sudden, like, hey, would you want to coach in the spring? So now it's more competitive. But I would say the biggest difference in girls and boys is girls will run through a wall for you. They listen to you, like, right? Like they don't want to let you down. And I think the flip side of it for boys, when shit hits a fan, you could tell a boy will just, all right, fuck it, give me the ball, I'm going to go one-on-one.
Right.
Girls are like, they're a little more timid, but they want to make sure they impress you so much that whatever you tell them to do, they're going to do. And I think the flip side now with boys is it's a lot different now, right? They think they know everything.
Right.
At least for some of the boys teams I've had the past couple of years, it's been, I don't want to say brutal, but it's been a night and day compared to girls and boys teams, just because you have a group that wants to listen, wants to get better, and now you have a group that thinks they just know everything. And I'm not saying all boys teams are like that.
Yeah, of
but
course. No.
There are some
but there's
like that.
there's enough of it. We all notice it. I think anyone who's listening to this show or, checking it out, they know what we're talking about. Well, it's a question for both you guys. Well, we'll go back to you, Coach Mel.
All right.
What's been your overall experience with AU? You know what I mean? Kind of, you can highlight one good point, one bad point, but overall, like in your tenure so far, what's your overall take of AAU basketball?
I would say my overall take on AAU basketball for me is the growth. Just seeing these boys, coaching them at 8 years old, 9 years old, first, second, third grade, and then and next thing you know, it's like they're men, and then just kind of just teaching them the ways of like Coach Tom said, it's all about life lessons, and then seeing them actually, become, decent human beings and decent grown men. That's basically seeing the growth, and they're all such good kids, and like I've always said, the bad ones always weed themselves out, whether it be kids with attitudes, kids with, they got a chip on their shoulders, and I'm a big team unity, just like Coach Tom, and just like you, Coach Collins, team, getting together as a team and doing things, you know what I mean? Just building that bond.
Yeah.
I'm a big guy, or a big coach when it comes to coaching a group of boys and just, making them connect on different levels on and off the court. I think it's super important and creating that chemistry. And that's why I think I've had so much success is, as we know in AAU, it's hard to keep a team or a group of boys together for such a long time. That's the hardest thing to do nowadays. Everyone's jumping and going here, and grass is greener and all that.
It's always greener somewhere else, right?
Yeah. And so that's the hardest part. And I notice it's harder to do that nowadays. Like back in my day, I would say to the parents and have the meetings and, hey, listen, I'm trying to do something with these fourth graders. Let's try to keep them together to the seventh grade. Let's just try to do that. If we can do that, you'll see the progress and you'll see how they react and the chemistry on the court. You'll just see it. So I managed to do that. And then, of course, you have those speed bumps. I'm not a big assistant coach guy. I'm not a big, I don't need an assistant coach. So when I did have one, I got burned by him.
Yeah.
And he took all my players. And so they were doing some things behind my back, which was whatever.
That's a point you brought up. I mean, sorry to cut you off, but I'm just saying that's a point that's big. Finding people you can trust.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That is tough.
One of those things. I got burned, and so he was doing things behind my back with another parent, and they figured, we're going to take these boys. And I'm not going to mention his name. Maybe off camera I'll tell you. I'm not going to give him any glory because it's a good story. Tom. You know Tom. So he pretty much took everybody. I only had two boys, which was my son and another boy named Aiden. And, Aiden's dad was like, what are we going to do? What are we going to do now? I said, well, I just got to go back and be that creep over at Hardwood Palace. And I got to pick up some more kids. And that's what I did. I didn't stop, and I wasn't discouraged. If anything, it fueled me to you guys want to okay, well, I'll do what I did before. It's not a big deal. I can do it. I don't have a problem talking with parents. Like I said, it helps with social media and having that little platform to be like, hey, check it out, and I just had to do it all over again. So
but you got that kind of personality, quite honest with you, Coach.
Yeah.
You know
what?
You got
Thanks.
a real, because even though I've competed with you over the years, it's always been respect on my level. You know what I mean? And you just kind of, obviously, as I've gotten to know you more and more and more, you have that cool vibe, man.
Thanks. I appreciate that.
You're not a used car salesman. You're a new car.
Yeah, pretty much.
I like that, man. I
think you can sell water to a whale.
Hey, am I at Mercedes at least?
Exactly. Yeah.
Am I selling Mercedes?
Yeah, exactly.
You got that type.
I know, but you have to though. You know what I mean? As a coach, you have to be somewhat of a salesman. You don't want to be that sleazy guy. But that's why I let the social media do its talking for me. It's here are the links. Go check them out. See what we're about. And when I got into the whole social media thing, especially with Instagram, I was doing Instagram when it got kind of weird, when people were making money. it wasn't making money. It was more or less like my biggest thing when I was doing the whole social media platform thing with the Yellow Jackets. I wasn't in charge of it. One of the parents, one of the moms were. And I would say, hey, make sure you post this and make sure you post that. It's super important. And there just was no consistency.
Yes.
As we know, social media, you got to be consistent, right? And so when I, made my own program with Hawaii Heat, I wanted to show off not just the basketball with the boys, and I would have like, Coach Mel's, spotlight play and all that. It was more or less like I wanted activities, straight A's, if they played the violin or the piano, all the extracurricular activities. I wanted to post that and showcase that for everybody to see. It's not just about basketball like we talked about, but it's also showing a different side of the players. And then, it was just, that's kind of like my whole thing. And then social media got kind of weird. And I was building the whole social media with the Hawaii Heat, and it got up to like 10,000 followers at one point. And then when it got weird was when they started charging $5 and $10 and $15 to promote the video.
Oh, yeah.
It was going through that stage.
Yeah, I remember.
And I was like, what does that mean? And I go, I'm not going to pay for that. But then I also realized when I would post something, the likes were decreasing. So they were controlling where it was going.
What was getting out there.
Yeah. And so some of my parents, I would tag them and they weren't even getting it. And they go, hey, coach, did you tag me? I go, yeah, I tagged everybody. And they go, oh, we didn't get it. So then I step back and I go, oh, they're controlling who sees what, because now it's a money thing. They want $5, $10, $15 to promote it. And I'm like, oh, it kind of left I got salty, and I'm like, I'm not going to post as much as I used to. Because I was like, after the game or the tournament was over, I'm in the car for another hour posting.
Right there.
Clipping,
exactly. Yeah.
Posting, clipping. And, my wife's like, when are you coming home? I go, I'm posting right now on Instagram. She's like, dude, can you get home? And I'm like, all right, sorry, babe, sorry. But, that whole Instagram thing and social media, it got weird when it started to become more of business. And I'm like, gosh, this sucks, man, because I was just doing it for the kids, just to promote them. And, it was fun. And I try to make it it's exciting for the parents, and they were all following. And so, with the whole, like your question.
Yeah, the motivation. Well, yeah.
The question that you're, saying, I was just liking to see the boys progress and just see them how they are now. They're like men now. So it's just like, this is my first batch of boys that I got to see from, third, fourth grade. Now they're, seniors. So it's pretty wild, but just to see them. And there was that age, I already knew it was coming. As soon as they hit high school, it's like, okay, it's like, hey, bud, like, you guys do your thing. Like, I can only do so much for you guys. And then, like, I'll try to steer them in directions like, hey, go check out that. Yeah, go check out this, go check out that. And it got to a point where it was just getting, I don't know. I don't want to say I was turned off by AAU, but it's just with the tournament fees, and I was just like,
high school's a different animal.
Yeah, it's a different animal.
And we're going to talk about that one too.
And it was something that I was just like, hey, man, I love it. But now I'm just going to be a dad, and I love being a dad instead of, Coach Mel. It was cool. It just got to that point where I'm like, all right. So as they hit like that, like freshman, sophomore, cool. Junior, senior, I'm like, hey, you guys do your thing, have fun, learn more. And I pretty much gave them what I could. So,
all right.
Yeah, that's pretty much.
So what about you, Coach Tom? What's your motivation? What's your overall motivation experience with AAU and your tenure? Because you've seen a lot too.
Yeah, I think, man, it's just giving the kids an opportunity for me. I mean, I think, like we always talk about, there's not money, like for some people, there's not money in coaching, right? So,
some people think we're rich.
Yeah. Sure. I'm losing money every year. Every day I'm losing money.
Yeah, right.
But it's just I think for me, it's just giving the kids the opportunity that maybe I didn't get because of my past experience. So trying to give them some type of motivation to say, keep pushing, right? And, like Mel was talking about, I think the crazy thing, when he started with Yellow Jackets, I was with the Yellow Jackets. I was coaching 8th grade. So I got to see Kainoa as a second grader playing basketball. Now he's a senior. To me, as a coach and like a friend and everything, I mean, that means more to me than any tournament wins, right? So to see kids to grow. And I think me and you talked about this with families. I think we'll probably talk about this later, but like with families, you'll get kids that will jump from team to team. And I think sometimes families don't realize that, like, I'm super invested in these boys and girls' lives.
Exactly.
Like, I'm around them more than I'm around my wife and family.
Right.
And I don't think people realize that. Like, when it hits springtime to summer, I have on the weekends I'm with their kids every time.
Yeah, man.
Right. And so it's made me like look back at things now because I feel like some people are not appreciative of it. And then now I'm looking at my wife who I'm, just married a year and a half in. And I'm thinking like, man, I'm sacrificing my time with you for people that are, I don't want to say they're ungrateful, but they just don't care.
Well, I'll say it. They're ungrateful to a degree. Right? Yeah. I'll be the bad guy, but
and it's tough, right? So like looking back at it now, like I wish kids were like how they were maybe 10 to 15 years ago.
I know, right?
Right.
I think it comes down to kids used to take pride in representing their city. Yeah. I talked about that on my episode with Andrej Stojakovic. Because I think I asked the tough question that most people would be like, oh, you're going to, it was funny when I was telling people, he was coming on the show. I said, I'm going to ask him, why didn't you play for Sacramento? Why did you not play for a Sacramento team? Like, and it was like, you can't ask him that. Like, don't ask him that. Like, don't put him on the hot seat. He's just a kid. I'm like, dude, he's 17. He's not a kid. Like, he can handle this. And I told him, and he gave me a real, answer. But it is, he said he wanted to play for Compton Magic because there was a legacy there. And, the perception is it's really high level. No different than when kids want to play for the Soldiers, right? They think that same legacy, right? So I can respect it. He gave me that answer. But it's just like, yeah, man, kids used to take pride in representing their program of origin. Yep. Mm-hmm. The coach that was with them when they sucked. You know what I mean? Yep. They want to represent all that. Now it's kind of like, thanks, coach, for helping me all those hours in the gym and helping me get real good. I'm going to go here now. You know what I mean?
They don't even say thanks anymore.
I know,
right?
Yeah,
they just leave. Or they try to sneak away and catch them.
I think what also annoys me sometimes, like when you see kids that you've coached, even when they leave, like we talked about this, when they leave and they see you again, like in the gym, they don't even say what's up. They walk right by you. I'm like, dude, I've been with you for 4 years. You can't say hi. Like
exactly. And I just don't. I don't know. Like you said, it's a different culture, different.
I think it comes down to the parents too and how they raise their kids.
Yeah,
because I get after Kite. Like I don't even have to get after him. He already knows. He's so far so good, right? Respectful when he sees coaches and he sees people that he knows. He'll go up and say hi.
Yeah, because he still says what's up to me. Yeah, even though I coached him briefly, during my tryout time, but he still was.
It's a respect
really cool.
thing, and that's what I teach my boys, even my basketball boys. Hopefully, it sticks. You know what I mean? But I see it all the time. They'll give attitude to their grandparents or whoever's there. Hey, give me a drink, and I'm like, get your ass over there. You go get the drink, man. Don't tell your grandparents. I'm just so big on respect. So, yeah, I think it's a lot to do with the parents too as well. They let them do what they want and stuff now.
What, Tom? Question for you. What's helped you find success in what you've done with NorCal Dynasty? What's like your overall thing? You would say, okay, this is what's helped me be successful.
Man, I think it's just a word of mouth. I think the reason why I don't really go out and like try to recruit kids, right? Like, it's an open book. They see what they see, like on social media. They see who I am. I don't want to say two-faced, but who I am on social media is who I am in life, right? Yeah. And so I think what draws people to me sometimes is I'm just real and the ones that know I care about their kids. Right, even if they're not playing for me or whatever it is, I think it's been a word of mouth, right? I think the reason why I've gotten so many kids over the years is, a friend tells a friend, and then they tell their parents, and all of a sudden we get kids over. So I think just being real to the families, the ones that know that you're real to them, I think go a long way. And
same with you, Coach Mel. What have you attribute to, you finding success?
I would say. It's so hard, but finding a group of parents and boys that trust you, especially the parents, and it's now I'm coaching a different group of boys and it's a different time, and I realize how blessed I was with the group of boys and parents that trust me, and they've been with me for such a long time, and they trained together and they did what I told them, like, hey, let's go to this trainer, let's do this, let's work on this team training. Let's get shots up. Everybody was game. And then like this new era, it's a little bit different now. Like the inconsistency. Oh, coach, we're going to take a break. I'm like, take a break? No, we're trying to build something. You don't understand. I kind of have a blueprint. Let's follow this blueprint. They're just different. It's different. And then I realized, oh, wow, I am super lucky the group of boys that I had that are now seniors, which I don't really coach them anymore. But I was so lucky and blessed to have these parents trust me for such a long time. Then I realized how hard it is nowadays to keep kids together. And I'm talking third and fourth graders, right? Second and third graders. They're leaving, and I'm like,
one practice a week they can't even make.
Bro, that's that's so crazy.
It was
for an hour and a half. For an hour and a half in a week, you can't make it.
Yeah.
Okay.
So yeah, it was just it's just a different time, and I don't know. It's just the way I try to schedule. The blueprint that I have with coaching was it's hard to get a gym. That's the hardest thing to do is get a gym to practice, right? And so in the earlier stages, it was okay. It was easy to get a gym for an hour, hour and a half over at Hardwood Palace. But now YBA takes it over. So
you are right. I ain't gonna lie about that.
I had to have an alternative. So I'm like, what can I do to get this? So I did the whole insurance thing through AAU so I can try to get a gym in certain schools. And it's just hard.
Yeah,
you got to jump through a lot of hoops. You got to know people. And then it's so much work that I said, okay, I got to come up with a plan B. So my whole plan was like, all right, if you want to play for me, you gotta play hardwood hoops or hot shots, whatever it was at the time. And I said, so you got to spend the $150, $140, whatever it is. We get a practice an hour a week. We get a game on Friday, which is a scrimmage I look at. So my whole thing was Thursday practice, Friday scrimmage.
And then your weekends.
Weekend, let's get into it so it sticks with the boys. And that's been my whole blueprint since day one. And so it's worked, but the consistency, it's not just that. It's like, okay, now everyone's got to train. You got to train if you want. What do you guys want out of this? Do you guys want to just be half-assed and mediocre? Or do you guys want to be like significant on your middle school team? I was just talking middle school at the time when they were young, and they all wanted to be significant on their middle school team. So I said, okay, cool. This is what we have to do. And like I said, it comes back to the parents trusting me. And I was like, wow, this is cool. Everyone's just following my lead. And then it paid off because it actually came true, and it was so cool, especially when they were all freshmen. Most of them were playing up, and then when they were all sophomores in high school, they were all playing varsity. So I was super proud as a coach. And for me, that was like the ultimate payment. I was like, man, you know what? I don't care how much money I've lost or made. That right there means so much to me because the parents are happy. They're doing their thing. I was like sitting back like a proud papa. You know how it is, yeah. Coach Collins. I mean, you had all the players, right? So it's like when I see my little core group and they're doing their thing in high school, I'm like, man, this is so cool. Like you're at games and you're like a proud papa. You're like there, absolutely. You're like, man, look at my dude.
It's fun for me. I get to, because I'm going to the Rocklin High games because, I got plenty of kids.
All the boys that you coach are there, dude.
I'm literally going to just sit back and enjoy watching the ride.
And it's so neat as a coach and satisfying. And I mean, Coach Tom, too, man, you've been to everybody's basketball, you know what I mean? High school basketball games. I see you taking pictures with everybody. And so when I would see you guys, I'm like, man, that's so cool that they get to do that. And maybe one day I'll be that dude. And it's kind of cool. You sit there and I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm that dude now. I get to see these boys playing. I'm like, gosh, this is so neat. And the camaraderie that the boys have, which is super cool as a coach to see them. And it's just, I don't know, like it surpasses any amount of money that you could ever make for me anyways.
Okay. Yeah. So question for both of you guys. Coach, I'll ask you first. What would you say is your coaching, like your coaching voice, your coaching style? Like what would you say? Like,
okay.
Is if you had to say like, okay, this NBA coach or college coach, I'm like him or whatever, just, you describe to me what you're coaching.
Okay.
style.
So I would say in the beginning stages of coaching, I was a Bobby Knight-ish.
Mm-hmm.
I would get after the boys. I mean, just like I see you.
Yes.
And I'm just like,
definitely.
I know that. I know that style. But, my whole mentality behind that, getting after the boys at such a young age, was I just tell them, hey, I'm just preparing you guys for high school and middle school because you think you're going to have a high school coach that's going to not be so hard and you're going to be like, oh, this is nothing.
Yes.
And it's the same thing with us taking the boys out of the area, uncomfortable. Like I want them to be comfortable being uncomfortable. And as we go to Oakland or we go to Southern California, I want to expose them to those hostility environments or those hostile environments where you got parents mother effing them up and down the court. They wear their sleeves on their I mean, they wear their badges on their sleeves, their hearts on their sleeves. So
kids talking mess, coaches talking mess,
all that.
of it.
Talking all that. And I'm bringing, Johnny from Loomis out there, and he's just like, and this happened. This is a true story. We're out in Oakland at one of the boys clubs, which is like, right on the strip of like, there's like pit bulls on top of the balcony. Yeah. You're walking by, you're like, woo woo.
Well, that's my whole town.
Hey, I know. I was like, oh damn, good thing we rented a car, because if that's stolen,
right,
it's not our problem, right? So we're walking there, and this is what I wanted to expose them to, and it was cool because I've had that experience with the Yellow Jackets going to all these tournaments, so I just utilized that with the Hawaii Heat, and I took the boys there, and they're just like, Connor, I never forget his face. He was just like this, blue-eyed, sandy blonde hair. I call a timeout. He's like walking over like teary-eyed. And I'm like, dude, what's up? Are you all right, man? And we're up like 13-2. If you looked at my boys back then, we looked like the Goonies.
Didn't pass the look test.
Nope,
yeah. My teams don't pass the look test.
We look like the Goonies. You know what I mean? It's like, look at these dudes, My kid looks Puerto Rican, and then you got like, this kid over here, this Asian dude, and this kid over here, and these couple white kids. And you look at us, and it's like, look at these dudes. And I see the warm-ups, and those kids are like wearing their jerseys like capes. They're laughing and clowning my boys. And I'm like, okay, we'll see what happens.
And you go out there smack.
Sure enough, it's like 12-2, 13-2. I call a timeout. Connor's walking over to me, these blue eyes, and he's just like, hey, coach. And I said, what's up, man? There was he's all cracking voice. I said, what's up? He goes, there's a mom over there. And I said, yeah. And I go, just tell coach, it's all good, man. This is locker room talk. Coach Mel's not going to say anything. It's just us and the boys, right? We're in a huddle. She said that she's going to mother effing kill me. I said, hey, listen, that's a good thing. Hey, listen, no one's going to kill you. Your dad's here. Coach Mel's here. All the dads here. No one's going to kill you. They're trying to talk you out of it. And look, it's kind of working, right? Look, the reason why they're talking is because we're up. That's why you're doing your job, man. This is a good thing for them. So taking the young boys to those hostile environments is good, because when they're at the free throw line in high school, and you got the student body, section, body section is chanting. They're like, dude, I've been here in fourth grade.
Right.
You know what I mean? That was the whole goal behind that. But like, yeah, it's super important to get the kids out of their comfort zone. And like with this newer group, I would say like I was coaching a group that were like 5th and 6th graders. I don't anymore. I couldn't get them out of the area. Oh, we're going here. Oh, coach, we can't make it. Oh, we can't. So there was no consistency. Yeah. So I was like, oh man, I can't do this, man. I'm so used to like when they say take a break, I'm like, I'm not take a break guy. I'm like, I'm donating my time for you guys, and you're not respecting it. So, okay, you guys just want to be a Hardwood Palace team. Right. That's cool. I'm okay with that. I'm not used to it, but I can't do it. So I wanted to take them here and there, and they just did not. Oh, we can make it, but we can't make it. We can't. And I'm like, oh, we're out. We're out. Well, you guys let me know when you guys are ready to play hardwood. Yeah. We'll play over here.
We'll do our 2 games and go home.
We'll do our 2 games, and that's what you guys want. So you're only going to get what you want, right? So like, I just couldn't do it anymore. So now I have my younger group of boys, and I'm having a meeting with the parents this Sunday. Okay. We're going to dip into AAU, and hopefully we can get them to go on the same track. So like Kainoa's 2 younger brothers, I don't treat them like him at all. They're totally 2 different.
So you say you've evolved as a coach?
Yes, I definitely evolved. So like the very beginning stages, I was like Bobby Knight, and I was Bobby Knight up and down the court. Right. Even Kainoa, I would get into him in the basketball game, in the car, eating dinner at home. And I was like, and then on one in particular game, he's crying in the car, and I sat back as a dad. I'm like, what am I doing? Right. I'm pushing my son away from a game that he loves. I gotta rewire myself. Okay, so now I gotta separate dad from coach. And so what I did was just like, okay, great game today, but good game. And as we get in the car, and he's like, oh, like, who the hell is this guy? Right. And he's like, oh, really? I go, yeah, man, you had a good game, man. You played well. And you know how we are on our kids. We're just hard on them, right? And I go, you did awesome, man. I go, what would you have done different in that one play? And so he would say, oh, I could have did this. I said, that's the right answer, man. So I had to rewire myself a little bit. And then I got to a point where I had the same group of boys. So I can't just be the same way every single time, because then it's just going to be going out the ear another. So I try to change it up. I'll be like, all right, I'm not going to say anything to him. I'm just going to just talk real calm and see what happens. It didn't work. Right. And I'm like, damn it, that ain't work. So now I'm trying to like just, different ways of
It's
trying
a
to
balancing act, right?
Yeah,
It's a
trying to
balancing
tap
act,
into their
yeah.
brain. And then you have kids that you can push and they react. And then you got kids that when you push them, they can't react.
Yes.
So it's like, ooh, I got to pull back on him. I can go hard on him. I got to find out a way to get to him a different way. So it's a lot of mental, you almost feel like a therapist as a coach. You are.
Yeah, coaching is a
Different
big
personalities.
psychological thing, and people don't, I think, understand that there's an art to what we do. I try to
Definitely.
describe to parents, it's a feel art.
Yeah.
Yep.
We go by feeling, instinct, body language. There's a lot of variables that go in our mind when we're playing that chess match against another team. And let's be real, there's some teams and coaches we know, like, okay, I can do this on autopilot. But then, like, there's other coaches, like, I know when I would go against your younger groups, they were always a year younger.
Yeah.
The group you're talking about against my group with like Matt, Jaden, and they're all in college now, Cab and all them. But I told him, I said, fellas, he's playing them up all the time because he's trying to challenge them, and they've been going against you guys for years. And I know even with you, like I know I got to be strategic because you're good at analyzing and making adjustments very fast.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I know that certain coaches, I'm just like, okay, just go out there and
Do your thing.
Just win. We know, we know what it is. So,
And I think as coaches, we bring the best out in each other. Because
Yes.
it's like, okay, we got Collins. Hey, Collins is going to get after his boys. I don't care what's going down. He's going to get after them, and he's going to push them. And they're going to play hard for him. So don't think it's going to be some walk. You already know to make those adjustments. You already know who you're playing. You're like, oh, okay, we got them. All right.
yeah.
All right. And then it's like, oh, we got NorCal Dynasty, man. Coach Tom's good, X's and O's, man.
Right,
when he calls a
right.
timeout, I'm like, damn it, what is he going to do?
he's gonna plan
I'm gonna make
something.
sure you stay, you help, because something's going down, man.
Exactly.
And so, but it's fun, and I think as coaches, we just respect that aspect. And I think that's why we became such good friends. And I think over the years, I think people's perception of us when they see us coach, they're like, oh, those guys are assholes.
Right.
Well, I
Yeah.
know they say that to me.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, yeah, but once they know me, then they're like, oh man,
I was wrong.
I go, no, I just push my boys.
Yes.
Like when I coach, I get after them because they're not going to remember 3 minutes later. I'm like, hey, remember 3 minutes in the third quarter when you did that? They're like, no. So I have to say something to correct them right away. And it's going to be loud. It may embarrass them, but I'm not like yelling at them. I'm just trying to correct them or making them realize what they did wrong. And then it got to a point where I'm like, now I'm just chilling on the bench and I'm watching and I'll just talk. And then when I stand up, then it's like, oh, coach is standing up because I hardly stand up anymore. I'll just sit down. But when I stand up and I'm getting after him, then they know, oh, damn. So that's kind of like my technique. It's been working now. So now I'll just be sitting on the bench coaching, yelling, talking. And then all of a sudden, if something's going down, no one did what they had to do, I'll get up and get after them. And I think it's easier as they get older as a coach because they understand the game more. So you can just kind of manage the game versus like trying to X's and O's with the younger kids, man. You work.
Yes. Yes.
I see you.
The older they get, the easier they get to a degree.
Yes.
But it's more like picking and prodding the personalities, right? Like getting the most out of them. So, well, what about you, Tom? What kind of do you say is your voice, or how's your approach to coaching?
I think it's just, I go into it, or I always tell people, like, right when we do tryouts or anything, I think you have to sacrifice, right? I think a lot of people don't understand, like, sacrificing, being unselfish. Those are all things that I want to coach. If you have something against that, then I always tell people, playing here is not the best thing for you, right? I think everyone has to sacrifice something to be a part of a team, and I think that's why you join a team, right? Like, you want to be a part of that. So my style is laid back. I mean, I get on kids because I expect certain things, I think, of them. But I also always tell them afterwards, right? Like, this stuff isn't cheap. AAU's not cheap. And I don't think, and I've been having this conversation with Coach Lance, and like, what I want to do with some of these kids is, almost give them like monopoly money, right? And just show them, all right, this is what it costs for your parents to pay for you to play. This is what costs for your parents to come in the game, right? All you're doing is just showing up to a tournament. Yeah. Right? Like, your parents are dropping you off. They're coming here to watch you.
Especially, they pay the entry fees.
Yeah. If you're not playing hard for them, it's like, I don't think this is where it's tougher now with kids, right? Because they don't realize how hard it is to earn money. Right? And I think I'm going back to now, like, when I talk to kids now, I talk to it as, like, now that I'm kind of a grown-up and I realize how much it costs for gas and doing all this stuff, right?
I laughed that you said kind of a grown-up.
Yeah, kind of a grown-up.
He's like, I'm kind of
because I saw spend stuff on myself. So, but I don't think they realize, like, when we get on these kids on certain things, because life is going to get a lot harder.
Yes.
And if you can't make it through this and you don't realize, hey, man, your parents are paying over maybe $100 a weekend just for you to play basketball.
Yeah.
And you're not giving your full effort, you're giving attitude. So I think that's probably the hardest thing I would see like now, like with people that what I'm trying to change to them is saying, hey, like this stuff isn't free.
No,
right?
it's not.
There's always a cost for something. And so my style is just straight, just unselfish, just communicate, be a good team player, all the things that you would want in a teammate as a person. So that, I mean, my style, like when I get on people, it's like Coach Mel would say, I get on kids that I've coached for 4 or 5 years,
right?
And they know me, right?
So they know, like,
they know my expectations. So like when we are playing a Hawaii Heat or like you guys, YB, like there's just a certain expectation. Like those are the teams like everyone hates losing,
yes.
But there's certain teams that you just don't want to lose to,
right? Yeah. Right, of course,
right. And I don't think kids understand that sometimes. I think in like Coach Mel said, like when you play against not just a good team, but a coach that you respect, it brings out the best in everyone.
Yes.
So when I see kids that are not having that same respect and like, all right, like if you're Coach Mel's team and you're playing you're younger and you're playing against your older team, like, hey, that's where you guys want to be in high school, right? So like you need to go compete,
right?
If you can't compete against those and you just want to compete against the lesser teams, then you're not going to better yourself.
Exactly. Well, then that I got like one or two more questions before we move on to the next segment or whatever. But that kind of rolls into what I was saying next. In this AAU culture, obviously there's a lot of, I use the term competitive rec. You know what I mean? Because there's so many divisions. There's so many, I even talk on the show like,
silver,
yeah, you know what I mean? I talk on the, there's plastic bracket, wood bracket at this point. Like, what I mean? Like there's no, and I say there is a place for it. Like what hardwood does is needed. There's no doubt about that. But let's be real. A Division I team at hardwood is like, if you're on the road, we know that's realistically like a low, mid-level Division II team, right? Or something like that.
Yep.
And I'm, again, not to say there's anything wrong with that because, shout out to Steve and Grant and all those guys at hardwood. They know I'm big on supporting what they're doing out there for having a place to do this, right? But I don't know, man. I feel like kids get... Like you said, you have these kids that your group of kids that just want to play hardwood, just play hardwood, just play hard. That I think it creates that what did we call it? The Rocklin bubble, right? The bubble where they think, oh, I'm dominating here.
Yeah, we're good.
Yeah, you know what I mean?
We're not.
And I guess my question is, outside of just how do you guys approach talking to your kids, keeping it real with them? Quite honestly, just saying like to your kids, hey, listen. I know we're killing it hardwood. We won 20 games in a row. You're feeling proud of yourself, but kid, you just don't know what's out there. Like you need to keep working or you need to like understand, I know in your mind and your parents might be telling you, you're going D1, you're going to Duke. Like, okay, let's stop. Like, let's, how have you guys been able to have those tough conversations? If you've been able to have them at all, trying to keep your kids and parents realistic. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Life is about having uncomfortable conversations, man. I learned that as I got older. You're going to have all these uncomfortable conversations, and if you don't want to and you're a coach, you shouldn't be a coach because you're going to have them. And people are always saying to me, oh, I don't want the drama as a coach. I said, well, then you shouldn't be coaching because you're going to get drama. I don't care what level you're coaching. There's going to be some drama. You have to keep it real, and I'm not going to shoot anyone's dreams down, but like, I think, like I said, it just comes back to I'm just so fortunate and lucky with my older group that they just trust me and they believed me. Like they were so educated because honestly, I was unofficial. So I'd always sit back and I would teach the kids and their parents the rules. So they're not blurting out outlandish shit because
So
I know a lot of these. I know a lot of these are referees and I don't want my parents to be uneducated. So when it came down to rules, I said, hey, never argue with the referees because they will screw you.
Yes.
They really will. And, you had Sport in here too, and they were all talking, and I love that episode.
Sport and Vic. Yeah.
Yep, Victor. That episode, I was laughing because as an official, you know who the troublemakers are. You know who the parents are that are yelling. You just know it, right? And you just kind of look over like, okay. And if you want to do them wrong, you can. It's very easy to. And so I would always tell my parents, you don't say a word to the officials. I know these guys. These guys are my friends. Some of them aren't, but I still say they're my friends. And and they all know I come from that background or that world of an official. So knowing the rules, they're all good. Most of them, none of them got kicked out. Thank God. It's so embarrassing when they do. I haven't had any of my parents get kicked out of a game. So I pride myself on that. And that's just something little, right? But for me, as a coach, running a program and trying to be professional and the respect, my parents get it. The younger group, they don't know what they don't know. And the parents, too, they think, like you said, they think they're really good because we win a couple tournaments. We won 2 tournaments in a row, coach. Are we going to take a break? I'm like, these aren't tournaments, man. I mean, they are. But I'll tell you what, we'll go to Southern California and we'll go play somewhere and we'll get blown up by 40.
Yeah.
But it's a good eye-opener because you guys think you guys are doing big things and you're really not. And we're not even playing the top level at Hardwood Palace, right? So it's like, listen, I know they're not putting in the work because it shows, and I know what most of them are doing. Some of them do. They get their little training on, but it's like it's got to be a team thing. 1 kid, 2 kids training isn't going to help the team out.
No,
it just isn't. Not. Everyone's on different levels. And so getting back to your question, just keeping it real with them, I just say we're not ready. Because the parents are like, hey, are we ready to go? Hey, let's go. I go, oh, we're not ready.
Yeah.
We're not ready.
But that's good.
Yeah,
at least you know.
We haven't even played up, let alone in the gold division or white, whatever it is, it's like that highest level. I'm always telling, Steve, like, hey, man, we're D2, D3-ish, right in that range. Yeah. And we still get smoked, I'm like 20. I'm like, and I don't tell the parents or the kids, hey, we're in D2, D3, because I don't want to crush them.
Right.
But there's levels to this.
Yeah, that's what I always tell them. There's levels.
There's levels to this. And this level, I understand, okay, we're just this mediocre team. They're not going to be the elite crew, which I accept. But I don't want parents to tell me, hey, when are we going to do? Hey, never. That's when we're never going to do it, all right? Not the way the kids are training and the way we're playing. We're just a Hardwood Palace Saturday or Sunday, 2 games. You got a little bit better, okay, cool. We have the sun shines on the dog's ass every now and then game, like, okay, cool. And then, then reality hits when you just, you play a really good game or the Pharaohs come in and they just smack us. And I'm like, what are you guys doing? You guys should be playing better than this. But I know it. But hey, listen, I'll play whoever. I'm not going to sit there and complain. We see the kids who you're like, okay, I get it. All right, you're pretty dominant out here. I'm pretty sure you're not a 5th grader, but okay. We'll see what happens. But
whole nother thing. Yeah,
and I'm not even like gonna say anything out loud. And the kids are like, "Oh man, coach, that kid's really big, and I don't think he's a 5th grader." I'm like, "Hey, listen, we'll play whoever steps on the court. Yep. All right, he ain't getting any better playing us, and he's really good." I go, but whatever. It's funny though how these kids nowadays there's just no respect. I had like this 6th grader talking smack to me from the Pharaohs. It was hilarious. Kid was big and he was good. And he was just like, and they're only up by like 5 or 6. Like he was acting like he was doing big things. And I'm like, dude, what are you doing? He's just like, yeah, go back home. And he's talking to me. I go, is he talking to me? And I go, oh, dude, I'm not about to argue with you right now. So I'd call a timeout and just say something to my boys, but he can hear me. I said, dude, I mean, they got that 7th grader over there, but look at the score. They're only up by 5. They ain't doing anything. But he hears me as he's walking by. So it's like those little jabs you get in. And I'm like, to myself, I'm like, what am I doing arguing with this guy? I'm letting this kid get to me. You know what I mean? So I'm like, oh, whatever. But then afterwards, the kid came over to me after the game. We're shaking hands. And I go, hey, listen. He goes, hey, coach, I'm so sorry about that. And I go, no, man. Hey, listen. I was trying to get you out of your game because you're so damn good. I didn't know what to do. So I was trying to talk to you to get you out of your game. And they ended up winning. And he was really good, but he was also very respectful and he apologized, which shows so much character nowadays in a kid. So I gave him a hug and I said, dude, you're good, man. You just keep working hard. And then, even he was so nice to the boys because I thought he was going to have this cocky attitude. I'm like, oh, man. But he wasn't. He was super respectful. And I said, look, you guys got the respect of this kid who's the best player on their team because you guys played hard. And, and we know the coach from, the Pharaohs, and he came over, and I was just talking with him, and he's just like, hey, man. I go, hey, man, I was trying to give you a little run, Right. And we kind of did, but then at the end, they kind of pulled off. He goes, no, man, you were getting after these boys. And so that right there for me, with that group, is a win.
Right.
You know what I mean? It's just like, whatever. And so, yeah, it's just, it's one of those things, that I'm just straight up with my parents and I say they're just not ready, but I know there's levels and I know what level we're at. This is where we're going to be. So,
Okay.
Yeah. So right now with the 6th graders that I have, I had an assistant. I have him do it now because now I'm focused on my little guys and they want to get to that next level. And I have a pretty decent group of parents that I don't know yet, but it's new to them too. So like I said, we're having our first meeting this Sunday. So
Nice.
We'll see what happens. We're going to get into the Lions den. We're gonna
of
get
course.
worked,
It's
but-
all progress.
Yeah,
And
it
then-
is.
So what about you, Tom? You had those conversations with some of your kids and
Yeah, I mean,
things like that?
I think because we've been around the game for so long, I always go back to like previous players, right? Like even before like a Kai Huntsberry, but I go, coaching at the college level now, and I see like boys, like, men and women out there, and I see, everyone thinks for JC, for example, those kids have bad grades, right? They're automatically going to JC because they have bad grades.
No.
But then I started looking at some of these kids nowadays, right? And I hear these parents talking, and I just kind of just be real with them, right? Like, being in the college level and talking, have connections with college coaches, and talking like coaches are going to ask, okay, what position are they? Can they guard that position? Well, as a an AAU coach, college coach, you can't BS someone, right? Because if you're sticking your name out for some kid and all of a sudden they go to that school and
they stink it up.
And they stink it up, that coach is done there.
Yeah, you don't get that phone call anymore.
So I try to tell kids and families are you better than so and so? I know some of you guys might only know these kids for 4 or 5 years, but like a young kid, are you better than a Kaino right now? Right? And I've seen Kaino as a young kid, working, and I just be real with him, right? Like I try not to sugarcoat anything. When we go to tournaments, especially for my girls team, I went into this year because this was my youngest varsity girls team I've ever had. I've always had some unsigned seniors that have been able to mentor kids.
Yeah.
So for this year, it was more a struggle for me because I had all young girls. It was mostly all sophomores, but we were playing up. And when we went to every tournament, we just said, hey, we want the smoke. We want to play every team's best team, right? Like we want to play whatever tournament we're at. We want to play their best teams. And I mean, this is the first time I got my ass beat in so many tournaments. I mean, by like 40, 50, 60 points. But we're playing D1 girls. And so I'm telling our parents right off the bat when we went to these tournaments to say, hey, if you guys want to play basketball in college and you want to see what certain levels are, this is what we need to do. If you want to win, I'm okay with winning. And if you want to play local, we can do that too. But if you want to go and compete and play in some of these big tournaments in LA, Bay Area, whatever it is, you need to play these better teams. And you have to be okay with, hey, we're going to pay this price, but we might get our ass kicked.
Yeah.
Then you're going to start realizing, all right, you're going to talk with your kid. Do you really want to play basketball in college?
Yes.
Do you want to do these certain things, right? And this year, I mean, like for my girls team, I mean, we got our ass kicked 7 games. And surprisingly, no one left, right? They just
they stuck with it. That's good.
And I told them, I was like, hey, this is going to better you now when you get to your high school seasons. It's going to help you be a better leader, communication. So I think being real with parents and kids right off the bat, and you have to, like Coach Mel said, you have to have those hard talks. And if they don't respect it and they leave, then they leave, right? You're trying to help them, but they're like you guys said, there are certain levels. And I always tell people there's a Rocklin bubble level. Mm-hmm. Then there's a Bay Area level.
Yeah.
There's a SoCal level. Mm-hmm. And then there's everything outside of California level. Yeah. Right. There's like 4 or 5 stages.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
So I think we as coaches, we want to play the best teams and get that experience for our kids and have them realize I don't respect the people that go into it and, like you guys say, sandbag certain things, right?
Yeah, man.
Because now you're almost you're taking the kids' money and their family's money by playing teams that you're just winning a medal. Well, I tell my team all the time, I could just go buy you a medal and we don't have to play in tournaments.
Exactly.
Right. So, I'm just a firm believer you got to tell them the truth. And I always tell kids like, hey, if you want to play basketball in college, you need to go to certain levels. If you think you're better than a JUCO kid, you need to go watch a JUCO game.
Yeah.
You need to see if you can go to open gym practice.
You'd be surprised how many kids don't actually go watch college games, but they say they want to play college. I said, why would you not go watch or research the place you want to go? You like, for instance, you love hearing these kids, I want to play D1. Yeah. Okay, have you gone to Sac State? No. Okay, well, how do you know what a D1 player even looks like? How do you know what do they sound like? What do you know the atmosphere of it? We have a college right down the street, Jessup, that's now going Division II. what do you mean? You know, it's very interesting because they have them. Social media has definitely fooled these kids.
Yeah, and I think that's why I think it's like everyone says D1 or bust, right?
Yeah.
And I don't think they realize, like, you know, at Sierra College, we've had D1 bounce backs, girls that have come back and played JUCO, right? And then they go move on to D1, D2, whatever it is. And I think kids need to go. I think, like what you said, if I'm a kid, if my skill set is run and gun, and I'm a fast, you know, athlete or whatever it is, why do I want to go to a school that is half court tempo?
Right.
Right. I think that you said, I think I would say more than 70% of these kids don't watch college sports, might not even watch NBA. They just watch highlight clips.
Yeah.
Right. So you just see like these 2-minute highlight clips, but you don't see the other 38 minutes of the game.
Right.
Right. And so I think that's why a lot of kids struggle when they get to college, because a lot of these kids aren't used to doing weights in college, right? Like study hall, doing all this other stuff. Like me and Coach Mel talked about, like when you're 18, your parents are telling you to get a job. So they don't know how to manage a job, boyfriend, girlfriend, a full
class.
Full class. Right?
Right.
Like in high school, your basketball season is just during the winter.
Yeah.
And then you have fall ball that's just 1 or 2 days a week.
College is year-round, basically.
Yeah.
It's another job. And I think that's why a lot of kids, when I see it, even at the JUCO level, we've had a lot of kids quit because they don't know how to time manage the situation.
Yep.
It's hard.
And I think a lot of parents, a lot of kids, they don't want to do the due diligence on, you know, and it's a lot with the parents. I mean, they're kids, right?
Yep.
So it's like, hey, let's go to Sac State, let's go to Jessup, let's watch a game. Let's go check it out, you know? So I think that's where they lack that too, you know, and it's
tough. And like, you know, as college, like as coaches, we always tell people, once you get in, step on college campus, you've clocked in.
Yeah.
You only get 4 years.
Yeah.
Right. So like you got to make
it.
sure like you put yourself in the best situation possible if you want to keep on continuing this game. Right. You don't want to go, hey, I'm going to go to this JUCO or whatever, or this D1, D2, and all of a sudden it's not a good fit, and now I want to transfer. Well, shit, now you only have 3 years left, or now you only have 2 years left. Right. So doing the research, I think, is almost just as important than, you know, working on your game sometimes, right?
Yeah.
Because you want to make sure you put yourself in the right situation. If you're a West Coast person, why the hell are you going to the East Coast and going to a place that's just winter, right? Snow. If you like, you know, I have a girl that I've coached, and she's in Chicago. She took a visit.
That's where I went to college.
Right? And so she went there on a visit, but she went during the off season, so it wasn't
So
snowing.
she didn't realize what the weather
She didn't watch the basketball, right?
Oh, that winter's up.
She went to a camp and she said, "Oh, coach, I love it. I'm going to go here." Like, so she's at a D3 school, right?
yeah.
Parents, like, I was like, "You want her to go out?" I was like, "That's an expensive plane ticket to go back and forth and visit."
Yes.
Well, hey, that's where she wants to go. I was like, "All right." So she went there. Sure enough, the dad texted me 2 weeks ago and says, "Hey, should she play this season because she doesn't want to, she wants to come back?" And I was like, "Hey, well, I would not play." Like, she's like, "Well, she wants to play the first half of the league and then she wants to come back." I was like, "No, because once you play, you're clocked in."
Yeah.
I was like, "Just say you're
Do
not
it all
playing."
day. You're
just-
either not playing or, you know, you play
So
the
I
whole
would
season.
like, if you're going to any like school like where there's snow and cold and you're in the West Coast, you need to go when it's winter season.
Yeah.
Don't go when it's all
Experience
sun. Yeah.
Right? See if you can handle it.
It's different, right? You're in 70, 80 degree weather. We have barely any rain here in the winter, and you're trying to go somewhere that's just under 10 degrees, right?
Right.
What the hell are you doing?
That's crazy. Well, no, I appreciate all you guys' answers. We're going to go into hot takes. Okay, so first hot take. Let's roll into a little bit of NBA talk, right? The NBA season's gone underway. First off, what I love to do on this show, do you have a favorite NBA team?
Mel's going to hate me for this, but I'm just very anti-Lakers, anti-Warriors.
You jerk. I am a Warriors fan, and MJ's a Lakers fan. So
I'm a
what
Laker fan.
Here we
Laker
go.
fan, yep,
Okay.
true blue.
All right, so shout out to the Kings, obviously. Always got to support the hometown team. The Kings and the Warriors are playing tonight.
What is your team? What is your team?
I just love basketball. Okay, I was a Bulls fan. 'Cause I was,
come on, man.
You
That's such
gotta
a-
pick a team.
you gotta
That's
have a
such a
team. Yeah.
Switzerland
Yeah,
answer.
yeah,
Like,
yeah.
I don't want to be. Pick a damn team, man.
You have a team.
okay, so I mean, if I'm going off
At least a player. There's
Yeah,
gotta be
give
a
us
player.
a player. That'll
right?
tie us to a
Okay,
team.
well, my favorite player of all time, besides Michael Jordan,
Okay.
was Stephon Marbury.
Okay.
Timberwolves.
I respect that.
Yeah, Timberwolves.
Okay. We'll go with the Timberwolves.
But what about currently? None?
Yeah, I just the reason why I don't like the Warriors is because my wife's family all loves the Warriors. I just hate the
Wow,
Warriors, bro.
you're supposed to get along with
I
them.
just
Right?
hate them, man. Jesus Christ.
Man, you're just going.
So then you're
right
a Kings
in.
fan. Well, just by default.
Yeah, I guess so. I guess so.
Nothing wrong with that,
Nothing
man.
wrong with that.
But now, I mean, the Warriors just beat the Kings, so now.
Oh, we won. Yes, let's go.
Warriors
We
beat the
won.
Kings. Give him some love, coach.
Curry just hit him with a night too, man.
Did he? He went like this?
Yep.
We won.
Wait,
See, I'll take that.
did he
I'll
hit him
take
with a
that.
night like this? Oh, wow.
Curry with 41.
41.
14 for 19 in field goal percentage.
Nice.
14 for 19 field goals.
Nice.
He laid him to sleep.
That's what I love to hear, man.
Ooh, wee.
Splash for the splash, brother, man. Splash for the splash, brother. Gotta
Hey,
get
did our
it.
boy Jay Ford play? Jordan
No,
D?
I don't think he did,
Minutes?
no.
I was just
Did
curious.
you, yeah, shout out to Jordan Ford.
Yeah,
Yeah, man.
shout out to
I saw,
Jordan Ford.
In the little segment I saw with Mike Brown, I saw Jordan
Yep, I saw him
standing
in that
there. You saw
background.
right
Yeah,
there. I was like,
look at
Jordan, man.
Hey,
Shout out
that's
to
so
him.
cool, man.
And in case you guys are watching on YouTube or listening, Jordan Ford's a hometown kid. Went
Yes.
to Folsom High School and did his thing in college. Been working his way up through the G League to now be on the Sacramento Kings. So it's pretty
wild.
exciting to watch a hometown kid make it to his dream, right?
Yeah.
So shout out to you, man. Keep doing your thing,
I
Jordan.
got the pleasure to officiate him not only in AAU but in high school, which was really cool to see him perform. It was back him and Noah Blackwell, another local.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was some fun times, man. It's so neat to see them on that journey, and you just see them get there. You're like, wow, he
I'm
did it,
telling you,
man.
man, it's
Talk about the
crazy.
percentage, man.
Well, I wanted to talk about the Western Conference. I mean, it's really strong right now, man. It is so. These games are gonna be so
Yeah.
competitive. I was watching inside the Inside Guys after the Lakers and who they just
Phoenix?
beat Phoenix game.
Yeah.
And Kenny, the Jet, he was saying he said him and Shaq were having their debates as usual, or Chuck having their debates, and they were saying like, because Shaq was like, it should be, they should get these wins, or they should, and Chuck and Kenny were like, look at the makeup of the West. There isn't not going to be any easy win. What team is the Lakers like definitively better than? Like, he said outside of Portland, right? The Trailblazers. He said Phoenix is tough. He said maybe the Clippers and Portland. And I really, it's just them talking about it really got me to look at the West, and it's like, bro, it's so tough right now. You know what I mean? Like,
Nuggets are still tough.
yeah, you know what I mean?
Are they going to do it back to back? You think?
I don't know. I mean, the way
It's
they're
hard.
looking is,
hard
but
to
it's
tell,
yeah.
though, man, it's so hard, especially with injuries. Something
Because
could
like
happen.
even Phoenix right now, Booker and Beal are out.
Yeah.
And they took the Lakers to, they won by 1 or 2 points, something
Yeah.
like that. And then again, this Warriors Kings, like if Curry doesn't have a 41-point night, you know what I mean? Like it really is going to come down to the star power in the West.
I can see a lot of games going 7 games in the West,
Right?
Like,
Yeah.
and so I mean, geez, like think about it, the East only has 2 or 3 teams.
And of course, everyone's talking about the Bucks because of
But I mean,
Lillard and
the West
whatnot.
teams
Yeah.
might just beat up on each other, and they might be just exhausted. By
I know, right? It's
By the
going-
time-
Right?
the Eastern's just going to win just because they're going to be like, okay, you guys killed each
out of
other.
whatever those teams are, right? Like a Lakers team or a Warriors team, a Kings team. Those teams could arguably be a 6th, 7th, 8th seed.
Right. And if you take that same team and put them in the East, they're like number 2.
Yeah.
There's no, if not number 1.
Do you ever think, like, I've had this conversation, and I know they say, well, it's too much of a travel, right? I'm like, dude, these guys fly on private jets. Should they just do a 1 through 16 teams? The 16 best records and match up 1 versus 16, 2 versus 50, and not have an East and
And
West.
just I wouldn't be opposed to that.
Just to see it one time to see what, because think about it, like you might be, I know they have the playing games, but there was that one year, it might have 3 or 4 years ago, where there was like 3 or 4 teams in the East that had an under 500 record, and they made the
And they
playoffs.
still made it to the playoffs. Yep, I know what you're talking about. I guess the biggest hurdle, like you said, would be the logistical side of flying and all that stuff. But like you said, they have private jets, and clearly the NBA's not broke. But no, I wouldn't be opposed to it. But isn't this year they're supposed to be rolling out some like different tournament?
Play-in tournament.
Yeah, the play-in tournament and stuff. So this is my overall take. And again, you guys can feel free to jump in your opinion on this. I do think they need to put less games in the NBA. I think they should do like a 65 game season, 65, 67. I mean, it's just because the regular season is so, we know there's a stretch where players are going to do the load management. Players are like they're really like, I know with the Lakers, they're really being mindful of LeBron James minutes because, I mean, they're saying it's like become news. Like they're like, oh, he's only going to play 35 minutes and below. We're going to make sure of that every game. You know what I mean? But I think
And
you
then
can.
you had to play all fourth quarter just for the
win, right?
Yeah.
And this is in the early beginning of the season, so it's like, I don't know. I think because there was this one YouTuber I saw. I cannot remember his name, but it was really good. He actually mapped out what a 60+ game season would look like. And it showed like these brief little breaks, and it was actually really done very well. And I was like, man, the NBA needs to call this guy. But like, I personally think there should be a smaller season. I don't know what you guys might think about that.
Oh, I think that's a great idea.
Yeah.
Yeah. I like your idea too with 1 through 16. That's great.
Because I think if you do 1 through 16 or whatever, right, you're not going to have as much load management because now you're going to have to worry about seeding, right? Like,
yes.
You're almost manipulating the seeding, thinking, okay, do I want to play this team in the second round or third round, whatever it is.
Mm-hmm.
The 65 games, I would love that, but at the same time, everything's becoming business.
Right.
That'd be so much.
That's
money
less
lost.
money.
So much
That's
money
less money
lost,
for them,
and you're
Yeah.
right. You're right because again, I know that's the ultimate thing. It is a business, you know, that's workers losing out on events at the stadium, which means they don't work and things like that. I get it, but it's just
the load management thing. Because I was like, you know, like what I think Ernie talks about. Stephen A. says a lot. If I'm an outside, you know, if I'm Sacramento, obviously, right, and the Lakers come or Bucks come, and I'm paying an expensive ticket to go watch Giannis play.
yes.
And then, he doesn't usually, but let's say he just load management and he doesn't play. Well, shit, I don't get a refund on that ticket.
No, you don't.
Right? I'm paying double or triple to go to that game because I want to watch that player, and then they load manage it. So I think that's where that gets tricky. I think the load manager, I think by their salary, I think if they load manage or don't play, they should almost lose that in-game salary. It's not a lot to them, but I would think for the fans that had to pay for a ticket, like
yeah. And then the player I want to talk about, I've talked about him several times on the show, but he is the epitome of an AAU brat to me. Is James Harden. The way his demeanor is, the way he is, and again, it's like I don't know the man personally. I don't give a shit if he ever listened to this podcast. I would say the same shit to his face. I'm like, dude, the way you act is so much like a high level AAU high school player. You're so entitled. You're so, you know, and again, I don't know what the personal man's going through. I can only go off of what I've researched and seen. I know you spend a lot of nights in the club in Houston. I know you spend a lot of money on strippers. I know you spend a lot of money on taking women out. I know you show this recurring theme of being a brat when things don't go your way, and it just seems like it's always someone else's fault. What I circle back to that and my talking point with him and the epitome of what he shows is he kind of the final boss of the AAU problem. You know what I mean, with these kids and the entitlement and stuff like that sometimes.
Well, shit, if a pro gets to do it, why can't a kid do it? It's
Exactly.
probably what they're doing, right?
Right.
Like, I think it's just it doesn't have a good. I mean, basketball. I think we've all talked about AAU this last 2 or 3 years. It's been a bad look because we've seen kids jump from team to team. I've seen a kid have 3 different uniforms in their bag, ready to jump. Right, but I think it just makes it have a bad look for everything.
Right. And do you think because there's coaches that enable this behavior, it's hard for guys like us who don't like it or advocate for it to fight against it?
Yeah. It's a different breed. I don't get it. I never got it. I don't understand how they just jump teams, and I never was a fan. So like my whole thing with having meetings with parents was like, hey, listen, if you want to leave, just let me know, because there's no T's crossed or no I's dotted. So just be
Just have a
honest. Let me know.
conversation. Yeah.
Let me know. You're not going to hurt my feelings, but it will annoy me if I find out from somebody else. And it's a small world. This AAU thing is a small world. And, you know, I've had referees that know me say, hey, one of your kids is over here playing. And I'm like, oh, no, we're not playing. He's like, well, no, he's here. And I'm like, no, he's not. They're like, yeah. And they'll just take a picture. It's that easy. They take a picture and they send it to me. I'm like, I just talked to the dad last night. Why didn't you just tell me, man?
Or,
So
or the parent says, oh, we're going out of town.
yeah.
And then
now I'm feeling a certain way. And I always tell them, don't try to do that. I'm going to find out, man. But, I mean, going right back to the Harden thing, I never was a Harden fan.
Right.
I don't know what it is about him. I just, like you said, I don't even know him.
Yeah.
But you nailed it with the whole brat AAU.
I just see him as a physical or the what the potential outcome could be of a high level kid who's never told no. You know what I mean? Like, no, you can't act this way. You need to do this right.
He's acted this way, like they talk about the last 3 times.
Yeah.
He's been wanting to go to certain places. He finally gets there, doesn't look his way, and now he wants out of it.
Yeah. And I'm like, this didn't just happen.
Yeah.
He had to have been like this in high school. And again, super talented guy.
Yeah.
Super talented player.
Yeah.
You cannot deny that.
Yep.
But you would think someone at some point would have grabbed him and be like, hey, man, like, you got to be accountable too. You know what I mean? And it's
if you're an NBA team now, do you want that on your team, right?
No,
Like,
I don't think so. I think Paul Pierce, I saw a segment, Paul Pierce talking about him. I think he was on KG's podcast or something like that. And he said this might be the last year for Harden.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because he's on a 1-year contract. Nobody wants that contract.
Yeah.
And, you know, he might get the Allen Iverson or Carmelo Anthony treatment. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Super talented. But now Carmelo was able to, obviously, I want to say at least to a degree, humble himself and say, hey, I'll be accountable. And then he got his way back in the league and you know, left the way he wanted to, right? But Harden, I don't know, man. This could be it for him. And it's sad to see because obviously the man has enormous potential and could have, should have done some things. But
hey, Perkins did say that the Lakers should get him.
Oh man, I don't know about that, dude. No,
that'll be tough.
No, that's the disaster, man.
Yeah, it's interesting with that. Well, circling out of the NBA, I want to talk about a guy who, you know, I'm a fan of, and I know, you know, I share him on my social media all the time. I'm sure you guys have seen him. I really think his way and his approach of how he's been doing things as a D1 coach is really cool. It's Coach Barnes at Bakersfield. I share a lot of what he does. I don't know if you've seen some of his stuff. And it's funny because I met him when he had maybe 1,000 followers and all that stuff. But he's one of the few D1 coaches I see that talk very candidly.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Most coaches in his position are typically pretty private. We know, and again, I talk about it on the show, but if you're new to this, I'm just giving you guys the heads up. College coaches are mainly on Twitter. That's where they mainly go. That's where they mainly talk and do their media outlets. Instagram's more for the kids, right? For the AAU, for the kids, for the promotional side of things, right? But Coach Barnes, I really like what he's doing. He talks very candidly. I was joking today because he did one of his talks and he was talking about reclassing. Mm-hmm. And I left a comment saying, oh, you chose problems today because you talking reclass and, you know, that's going to piss a lot of parents off and stuff. And he was
his
like,
version of it.
And he was like, nah, I just want people to tell me. And, but shout out to him. I just didn't know if you guys had a chance to see some of his stuff, but do you think more college coaches should maybe talk a little more candidly like that?
Yeah, I love what he's doing because it keeps it real.
Yeah.
And he's doing it in a way where I don't feel it's like he's being himself, which is, you got to respect that, right? And I think, like you said, a lot of coaches are keeping it private. It's like when you're an open book like that, it shows so much more character, personality as a coach. And it's also educating people too, you know, and his take is his take, right? It's his opinion, but it also makes sense. You know, everyone has their own different guidelines and opinions when it comes to that reclassification. I started tripping out when they started celebrating it, like on Instagram. They're like, oh, congratulations to so-and-so for reclassifying. And I'm like, did they just do a Jedi mind trick?
Yeah.
Are they celebrating this? Or?
That's crazy, but that's what's
wild.
happening.
And I'm like, okay, so, and then like we kind of talked a little bit off camera with kids switching high schools like underwear, man, nowadays. It's like, how do they do that? I don't even understand how they can just go doop, 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 doop. And I'm like, oh, okay, I can't even get into it. I just was just like, man, I don't even understand how the system works.
Right.
And how they allow it. And then you hear some kids can't, and then you hear some kids are, and I'm like, I don't even want to think about it.
Right.
I think his stuff's good because it's informing just everyone what the D1 style is or just anything in general. I think his latest one, he had one that was talking about next year, 24-25, the new like portal rules. If you go in that college, if let's say if I go into a school and then all of a sudden I go to the portal, that school is still paying that kid's
Yeah,
tuition.
they're liable for a
they're
scholarship. I thought that was really cool.
Until someone takes them, right? So if no one takes them, and then like let's say you go to the portal and no one takes you, I can't go and try to find another person until someone claims you almost basically, right? So,
but he also said how it's going to hurt the high school guys that they're going to be even that much more critical of you now because now they're kind of at a point where like if I take this freshman kid, this fresh out of high school kid, I'm stuck with his ass. So
and I think,
rolling the dice.
Or her. That's why I always tell kids now, right? Like if you're a D1, if you're just a college coach, you're giving this kid a scholarship. Even if you're a D3 and you're getting an academic scholarship, this school is putting money into you. So if you don't produce, like you're losing, like that person can lose their job.
Yes.
Right. Like if you don't pass that eye test or whatever, all of a sudden. So I think a lot of parents need to like listen to him and see that stuff because they just see, why is my kid getting a scholarship? Yeah. They don't understand all those other things behind the scenes.
Yeah. And go give him a follow. Yeah. Just if y'all listening, definitely go give that guy a follow. It's again, like what you were saying in terms of parents. I don't know. Like for me, I will say the most easiest parents it's been for me to coach are typically parents with basketball backgrounds, right? With some sort of, basketball backgrounds or even athletic backgrounds, just any athletic backgrounds. I've had parents who played pro baseball or college football or something. So, because they understand there's a system to this, there's a process to this, because they'll see, like, here's a good example. Okay. They'll see, because shout out to him, because this recently happened. Jacob Gilchrist, right? He just got, he committed to UC Davis, right? Got an offer from Sac State before. There's kids who could look at like, well, I beat him, back in 8th grade, or, he's not that good. It's like, you don't get it. He might fit something that works for Davis. Mm-hmm. And I know the coaches there, and I can see that. Like, let's be real. Jacob's, 6'7" at this point? 6'6", 6'7". Yeah. He can shoot the three. That alone could get you a scholarship because they can put you in a role. They're looking, and that's what I think the disconnect for some parents and kids to understand. Colleges are looking for you to play a role. Mm-hmm. And then, of course, from there, you can evolve it. But that's what they're ultimately looking for. Because Coach Barnes says it when I had Kai on the show after he did his thing with North Texas. He said it. He said, they're looking for me to play a role. Now, of course, there's games where he took over and did his thing, and proud of him. I think everyone was rooting for Kai just because he's a hometown kid we all saw grow up. It was like, great job. But he understood, like, I have to play that role and I have to do my thing. I just wish more kids and parents can understand having a role fitting what a school is looking for is the best way to get to a school. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? It's not going out there and trying to drop 50 points. It's not going out there. Like, of course, being a scorer is a role like anything else, like being a rebounder. Yep. But you can't have a team of 10 scorers. Yep.
I tell kids all the time, shit, if you're the best rebounder or best screener, go do what you're best at.
Yes.
That's what, I mean, like you said, like even at the JC level, right? Like we don't want 10 people that just want to shoot every time.
Yep.
We have girls that fit needs that we need, like, hey, you're the best rebounder, you're the best shot blocker, like those things. And I think that's where some people, like when they see college coaches on the sideline or whatever it is, they think I just got to put the ball in the bucket.
And that's not it.
Right.
It's not it.
Yeah.
I've had college coaches call me and just say, Chris, do you have a guard that can throw a post entry? Because kids don't know how to throw post entries anymore. Yeah. Why? Because everybody's a 3-point shooter. Yeah. So kids really don't know how to. But it's like, do you have a big who can rim run, who will literally just run rim from rim?
That's hilarious.
That was their criteria. Like, I was like, yeah, I think I got one. Yeah. And then they're like, okay, we'll figure out the rest.
Like, is this a trick question? What's going on there, man?
They ain't ask about his scoring. They ain't ask, it's just, can he run from rim to rim every single play?
Yeah, I think parents don't realize that, and kids don't realize that. If you're, like, let's say you're a 6'7" guy, and you can run rim to rim, you could get a scholarship just running rim to rim.
Yes.
Yeah.
Like 100% every play.
Hustling hard. Yep. Yeah. It's like, look at that big dude move.
Yeah.
That alone.
That's it.
You're on radar. You're on radar.
And it's such a, it's just interesting because no matter how much we can all preach this to some of our kids, we know it'll sink in with some. Yeah. But some, it's just never He'll never get to him.
Yeah, but shout out to Jacob though, man. I mean,
yeah. Oh,
that's
yeah. Big
YBA
shout out to
alumni.
him. Yeah,
I mean, I remember that kid when he was really young. We would always, be battling against him. And the thing is, I don't even know if he's getting any hate or anything, but that kid can ball.
Yeah, he can.
He has evolved, man. And so to see him now at that, I'm like, you just celebrate those moments.
Yeah, and it's funny because when I coached him, he was on my team for a couple years, and he'd be the first one to tell you, because some of my kids that are freshmen now go to school with him. And they've talked, and they were like, "Oh, you were coached by Coach Chris?" Yeah, and he said, "Yeah, he was like, I fucking suck some days for Coach Chris." He was like, "Coach Chris used to get in my shit," and he was like, "Man, I did not play well," and I always try to tell the kids, I tell the parents, man, even if you leave my teams, I'm not hoping for your downfall. Like, it's so weird. I don't know if you guys experienced
there's
that.
There's a lot. I think we talked about. There's a lot of people that probably. I mean, I don't know him personally, but I've seen him, practice and train. There's people that want to see his downfall.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Absolutely.
Right, because they're, like you said earlier, like they said, well, shit, I beat that kid, or I'm better than
Yeah,
that. Right?
Especially kids that competed against
Right.
that. Yeah.
Right. And I don't think, like you said, like people don't realize that there is a need for certain people, right? And so,
and you can't coach height, right? Yeah. So let's not discredit that part too.
Exactly.
Like I just think, like I'm proud of Jacob. I mean, I remember when Yakub last year when he got his thing, and Yakub's a scorer. He had a great career at Granite Bay, things like that. It's just, I don't know. It's so strange.
Did he go UC Davis too?
No, not Davis. San Diego.
Oh, San Diego.
Yeah.
Okay.
And and it's a weird thing. Like when I see people get upset that kids get other opportunities that I guess they feel their kids should get, and it's like I try to tell parents it's about fit. Mm-hmm. It's not some college coaches are looking for a specific fit.
And then everyone's journey is different.
Yes.
Like I mean, the one thing I talk, with like Kai Huntsberry, like you said, right? Like if any, like I told him before, after he graduated, I was like, not saying write a book, but he needs to share his story for everyone.
I agree.
Right? Because this kid was his senior year. He was young for his age. Mm-hmm. He was an all-state player. I think he might have got Player of the Year for his Division III or whatever it was. He went JUCO. Mm-hmm. COVID hit. Went JUCO again. He went JUCO 2 years, and then instead of going to a 4-year the next year, he decided just to wait a year, work on his game, right? And then all of a sudden he went to full ride D2. And we know D2s don't really get full rides.
No.
Right? He got a full ride D2, and all of a sudden he bet on himself. Right? And I always tell kids, like, if you think you're at a certain level, you got to put your money and bet on yourself.
Yep.
Right? And just keep working. And I think it's always easy to make an excuse, well, I should have been that person. Mm-hmm. And then you just get off track and you don't realize what you're working for. And I think if you ultimately want to do anything in life in the sport, if you bet on yourself, things are going to work out.
I agree with that. I like that.
I totally I preach to my boys, and not just for basketball, but just life and work in general. I just tell them, in order to have success, you got to be obsessed. Yeah. Whether it's anything, work, if you want to be the best 9-to-5 worker or be the best at your job, you got to be a little obsessed with what you want to do. Same thing with basketball, same thing with football, baseball. Yeah. In order to have success, you got to be obsessed. And so whether that's obsessed being, training, working on your game, hitting balls, getting shots up, you got to be a little obsessed. Well, not a little, you got to be a lot obsessed. And those players, those athletes that are obsessed, they're going to have success.
I think what makes it different now is it's the social media we've talked about, and it makes it easier for people to just make excuses. Mm-hmm. Instead of working on the game, I'm making excuses for things, right? I'm complaining about why did this kid get a scholarship instead of me working harder. Mm-hmm. I'm complaining.
Yeah. You put the nail on the head there. Because, for a lot of my guys nowadays, I advocate for JCs right about now, especially because of what happened with COVID and kids getting older and things like that. I pushed. I'm going to go to a lot of Yuba games this year because pretty much practically that whole team is kids I coach. Yep. So I told them, I'll be at your guys' games for sure, and consume this, so half that team is kids I coach. But I told them, I said, this is the best route for you guys because it gives your body time to grow, gives you time to develop. You're with coaches who I think know the game. Shout out to Coach James and Coach Korn at Yuba, and Coach James at CRC. I think these guys will put you in the right position. And honestly, it gets those other guys out. It gets the guys at the universities out, so these slots are open for you. So you even have a chance, right? So, you know, it will things ever get back to normal-ish? Probably not. I just don't.
I don't see it.
I don't see it. You know what I mean?
And it goes back to what you said about, especially going to JC, it helps them prioritize their time, you know, with time management, you know, school and
being,
it helps.
I think one of the things too is being mature, right? Like it's very humbling when you're the go-to person as a high school senior, and then now you go to any level. I always tell people, it don't matter what level you are. If you're going to JC, NAI, Division 1, 2, 3, and you're a freshman now, and you're going here, you got to start all over, right? I think going JC or whatever it is, getting that 1 or 2 years experience, and now if you move on to a 4-year, now you're a 20-year-old person that has 2 years left. Now you can produce.
Yes.
Instead of going there as a freshman and not playing, and now you're just trying to catch back up.
Yep. I call those guys instant oatmeal players.
Yep.
You add water, they ready to go.
Good analogy. Good analogy.
So I wanted to talk, where's that last question? Okay, here we go. Overall thoughts of of NIL and the transfer portal. What do you guys think of that side of it? Kids making, you know, being able to monetize themselves.
I'm not mad.
And
I'm
get
not
sponsors.
Mad at 'em.
And,
I'm not mad at them. I mean, I can kind of relate a little bit on the social media side of it because that's how I earn my living. So I think it's perfect for this era. I mean, for these athletes, they know, you know, and it's not like with the NIL, it's not like the players aren't good. They're athletes. Like they're really good. So I think for them to utilize that and make, I guess some of them are making a really good living.
Yeah. Well, like Angel Reese from LSU, I think she's a millionaire now.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? From her endorsements and all that
I think
stuff.
it's still early to see if the players are going to not be so good as an athlete and they're just looking at the cash now. It's like kind of like it's still young, but I think it's a cool opportunity for them. I mean, look at what was the Utah football team? They got trucks.
Oh, yeah.
That was I was like, what the hell? Damn, I was like trucks on the football field. I'm like, what the hell? That's kind of cool. You know what I mean? So at least they're getting a little something, and I think maybe it'll either motivate them or it'll get them. It can go both ways. It can go this way or that way. So, you know, they're either going to capitalize on the money and just kind of slowly break away from the sport that they love or whatever, or it could, I don't know, work in a good way. I don't know, man. But for the kids to make money like that, I think it's a cool thing for them. You know, I mean, colleges are making $1 trillion with them. You know what I mean? So at least they get a little something.
Right.
You know? I don't know, but then then it goes back to what about Reggie Bush, man? What about those days? You know what I mean?
Right. I know,
but it was a different time. Those weren't the rules, right? So these are the rules now. So it's kind of cool. I think it's the era of social media, you know, and it's super influential now, you know, and you can make somebody look really good on social media, and then when you see them in person, you're like, wait, man, those mixtapes are nice.
Right. And again, I joke and I say this, you know, because this is also, like you said, because of the social media, if you're good with a camera, this is your time to make money. Yeah. Just being honest.
We've talked about this. I mean, there's some, you know, I won't even say her name, but there's some good high school girls out around this area that are 5-star athletes. Shoot, if I'm them, I'm working on my social media.
Right.
Because like
work on that NIL.
Like that. I mean, that
build a following.
Yeah, like
because it will get you paid. Yeah. And at the end of the day, I mean, let's be real. We want these kids to go to college to get a higher education, to get a great experience for what ultimately. A job, money, career, a house. You know what I mean?
I mean, you might play basketball. You might play, you know, if it's in the WNBA, NBA, or like overseas, you're going to get paid. But there's going to be some time where it's going to stop.
Yes.
Right? So, like, if you, like, right now, I mean, there's little kids with social media right now, right? Like, if you get that NIL, like, that's huge for them and the families right now.
And that's what and you know, so even like I said, speaking of little kids with it and stuff, like, I don't know if you guys have seen, the director of Arsenal, KP, you know, his son has a huge social media following. I'm actually supposed to have KP on for a part 2 because he's done my show before to kind of talk about that dynamic. because he's
That's gonna
kind
be a good
I think so, because he's kind of LeVar balling his son, but
his son's a baller.
but his son can
Oh my
hoop, bro.
God.
Like, because I got kids his age, and he fucking destroys us. But like, his kid can play, but he's only in 4th grade, and he has, I think his dad obviously runs his social media accounts and all this stuff, but I think he has like 40,000 followers right now.
crazy.
And but again, a 9-year-old has 40,000 followers.
Wild.
You know what I mean? And I think having him on the show describing how to navigate this and what he's done to kind of put him in these positions, because obviously his son still has to perform.
Yes.
But putting him in those positions. But I'm just saying, like, let's say the kid pans out to be pretty damn good, and now that social media obviously is going to grow and grow and grow with him, then he might be, have 2 million followers by the time he's a junior, senior in high school. And now he can leverage this to make himself some money. You know what I mean? It's pretty interesting.
That's going to be a pod where a lot of parents got to listen.
Yes, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
That's what I was telling
sure.
KP when we were talking about it. I said, I want a lot of parents to hear it from your perspective, because not only are you a coach and a director of a notable program like Arsenal, but, they need to learn, okay, you do need to kind of market your kid.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I tell parents, like, because I have a few parents that are still like anti-social media, and I get it to a degree. Obviously, the internet's not a safe place, but I tell them, I said, but unfortunately, if you, at least by freshman year, sophomore year, you don't give your kid that social media footprint, it is so hard to...
Yeah.
I've seen kids get scholarships just off social media.
Yeah, right?
Coaches not even seeing them.
Right.
They just see just highlights and stuff. I've seen kids get offers.
I'm like, if you're 6'9", 6'10", okay, you got less to worry about.
Yeah.
But if you're a 6'2" guard,
You're grinding.
Yep.
you gotta get out there. So that's why I guess I do like a social media course with my teams.
smart.
Like, I talk to them. I say, parents, okay, by 6th grade year, that's typically when I start.
Yeah.
I say, let's create an Instagram for your kid. Let's do the highlights. I mean, you guys see my social. I'm pumping
good.
every story is mainly my kids or showing photos of the kid, because I tell them, this is how we make their digital footprint.
Yeah.
And if they're serious about really wanting to play collegiate basketball, they got to have this resume.
Yeah.
It just doesn't matter what that is. Like,
It's part of the deal now.
yeah.
You have to, as an athlete, you have to have that social media base, whether it be Twitter, whether it be, Instagram. I don't understand TikTok still, but
Yeah, me,
whatever.
me either. I have one, but I'm barely on it.
Kaino was good at all those damn dances, and I'm like, what are you doing, dude?
Yeah,
It's so embarrassing, man.
It's pretty funny. But no, I mean, my overall take, NIL, and I've said it on the show, NIL is a good deal. I played college ball. I'm very. It's really cool, even as an OG, to see these kids make some money and do their thing. I'm proud of that. But like you said, there is a few pitfalls to it. Like I even brought up on, just saying it in front of you guys, but I brought it up on one show, is like for like an Angel Reese. I was saying the question of, do colleges need to maneuver this, or does she need to maneuver this? You now have a millionaire walking around campus. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Yeah. And it's like, let's say you're at a college like USC. I don't know if you guys been to the physical campus or whatever, but USC is a beautiful campus, great school, but you walk 2 blocks.
Oh yeah,
in either direction. You know what I'm talking about. Like
You're kind of it's a little dicey.
Exactly, right? And my thing is,
You're
let's
only
say
going on visits during the day.
Yes. And let's say this, you're that millionaire.
People know who you are.
Right? You walk down the wrong block.
Yep.
You're a target now, right? So do colleges hire extra security? Do we have police officers? Because I've heard, I think it was with Angel, I thought that she's no longer going to school on campus.
Yeah.
She's doing all online.
I think they have a gymnast too. That's like
that gymnast.
They both can't even go.
So
she's on Sports Illustrated,
right? You know what I mean?
They can't even go to school anymore. Now everything's online. They can't even in public. It goes nutsos. Everyone's going crazy over them. And even the twins over at the twin girls over in Miami.
Yep.
I forget
but they can't go to school anymore.
It's like online, and they got these big, NIL deals.
And that's where I'm saying that's where it is tough to navigate now, because
I wonder. I mean,
we will see.
It's probably tougher now too, because we talk about right, the jealousy of kids getting scholarships. Shit, if you're a teammate, like the Utah thing, right? I think the crazy thing when I saw that caption was, it was only the scholarship players that got the cars.
Yeah.
If you're a walk-on, you didn't get a truck.
bro.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Right?
I mean,
So,
you're right.
So are you just saying, all right, all the scholarship players come to the football field, walk on, stay in the back,
Right?
So.
This
I mean,
is-
there has to be some type of. You would hate to see it, but there has to be some type of jealousy, right? If someone is making millions, then you're thinking, I'm a teammate. Like, what am I doing wrong?
and there's some people that are so desperate.
So
know?
that's why I think some coaches don't like the NIL because
It separates the team.
it's separating the team, right? Like, Caleb Williams, the quarterback for USC, I think they were talking about him where he doesn't even have to go into the draft next year. He makes more money on endorsement
Yeah.
now
Oh, yeah.
than him going to the NFL.
Yeah. And there's some kids that will legit stay in school those extra years because they're like, I'm making more money here than I'm worried about making after.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
They got a guarantee. They got a guarantee
Right.
deal.
Yeah.
So it will be interesting to see how all this navigates. But, that was my talking point for that. So I want to roll into, I want to do a video reaction real quick. Then we got 2 more questions for Respectfully Disrespectful. Then
Okay.
we'll be out of here.
All right, cool, man.
So appreciate you guys hanging in there with
Oh,
me.
man,
and
having a great time.
doing all this. So I'll make sure to have the video playing for you guys watching on YouTube. But I want you guys to react to this real quick. Let's see. Hopefully this.
I'm excited to see this.
So basically, we're gonna watch a video, and we'll talk about this. And then, glad with your officiating background, we'll talk about this second. So this was a game, an AAU game that was happening. This is on a Facebook group I'm with called Ref Union. An official basically assaulted a coach. Got some good haymakers on him, and then he got jumped by the basketball team, right, where I was doing that. And obviously this is completely uncalled for. The guy looked like a young official, but I think it's a symptom of clearly what's kind of become a problem.
Did it say where it's at? What
It
city?
said,
State?
it says Santiago.
Santiago.
Yeah, Santiago. Melee at Santiago. So let's see. But hopefully, guys.
Whoa. Whoa.
You guys see that?
That was kind of a sucker punch.
Yeah, it was. Play it back again a little bit.
Not kind of a sucker punch. That was a straight
So you see, the young official here comes over. I don't know. Again, it looks like they have history or something. I don't know. Just talking. The next thing you know, boom.
Wow. The coach doesn't even have, he's not even in an aggressive manner. He just
Right.
has his hands behind his
And
back.
everyone
almost.
gets jumped. Everyone, like, now the team's jumping the ref. The other officials over there on the side, like, I want none of these problems.
Yeah. It's not worth it.
Again, the team looks maybe middle school, high school-ish. Who
Yeah.
knows? But
Clearly the official's in the wrong there.
Yeah.
Jeez, man. That's shocking, man. I
Yeah.
can't even believe an official would even do something like that. I mean, yeah, he's not supposed to be an official because you can't have rabbit ears. There's a lot of officials, they go in there with rabbit ears and they hear things and it's like, hey, you got to block that out. He obviously isn't a real official because you would talk to a coach. You wouldn't like throw blows.
and you saw their body language. It seemed like the
Yeah.
coach was just talking to
Yeah.
him. And again, I don't know.
We don't know,
Well,
yeah,
we
what
don't
happened
know all the details.
throughout the game
I'm
and-
just going off that because I guess they're still compiling some of the details and stuff.
Do you
but-
think if it's, I don't know how old the ref is, do you think young refs should ref younger kids' games first before they start doing, I've seen,
I would agree with that.
I mean, even in our adult league, right? Like
Yeah.
our adult league, I've seen like new young refs, like that are younger than all the players that are on the
Yeah.
court.
Right.
Talk about throwing him into the
Right?
lions.
Yeah,
then.
Yeah,
you
right.
throw it in there and like they don't know how to ref those kind of games, right? And then also now these adults are going at each other and they don't know how to control the game. So
Yeah.
every time when I see like new referees and stuff and they're out there, I wonder if they should start younger first, right? Because if you get a young ref that's reffing a kind of like your older son's game and all these kind of games, in that it's a very hostile environment. If they don't control that game right off the bat, we know that shit's gonna hit the fan quick.
Yeah,
Right.
And I think we know as coaches, good officials. We
Yeah.
know them, right? So,
Yeah.
and you can tell what's a good official and what's not. So you already know you're in for a long day when you're like, oh man. Just by the first call, you're like, oh, I'm not even going to argue with this.
So
guy.
I
Not
mean,
even worth it.
obviously, Mel, you would never do anything like that. But like, what would tick you off as an official, like with coaches? Not even really fans, but coaches just getting at you when you use like. Was there anything that ever set you off,
You know what? I think I was I don't know if it was luck, but I think as an official, I just kept it real with the coaches and I communicated with them, right? So like we're human, right? So like sometimes I would see a call or I would see a play develop and I'll go up with a whistle, but I anticipated it and I was like, as I blow the whistle, I'm like, he didn't even get touched.
Right.
Damn it. But you got to sell it.
Yeah.
Right.
I'm like, pop. And then you go to report it and you like smack your hand, hit here in the head, and then like, some coaches that are good, they're like, well, did they really get hit in the head that hard?
Right.
I'm all, little bit, he did. And then you walk over it, but you never say, my bad, coach.
Yeah,
I owe you one. That's like the cardinal sin. You never say that to a coach. You owe him one.
Yeah.
You never say that. And referees will say that to me, and I'm just asking a question, right? And I'm like, don't say that. You owe me one, because I will ride you the rest of the game, man. So when I ask, and referees don't, and this is like kind of like it will help coaches out there listening, coaches out there listening. Referees don't like statements; they like questions. So if you have a question, ask a question. And then if they're a real official or not, because if they can't answer the question, then it's like, dude, I just asked you a question.
I'll say I've run into that where I'll ask an official a question and they get defensive.
Yeah.
They feel like
hey,
I'm challenging them, and I'm like, I'm not challenging you. I'm just trying to understand what you're looking at so I can help my team.
Yeah.
Like if I don't understand your perception, how the hell can I?
Well, I think sometimes that's where they take it personally, right? Like I was asking a question one time, and then they were getting defensive. I'm like, no, I need to let the person know what they did wrong.
So otherwise they're going
to keep doing it. And they're going to keep calling the foul, and I'm not going to have an answer for.
I just think there's an inconsistent.
Yeah.
With officials, this official's calling this official's calling that, and then you go play another game, and these two officials are calling it just a totally different game. So it's a game where, as a coach, you got to make adjustments. As players, you got to make adjustments, which helps, but it's also confusing. So it's like, hey, listen, that coach wasn't calling hip checks. This referee is calling hand checks. I mean, you got to make an adjustment. You got to stop it. You know what I mean? So it's like the inconsistency of the officiating sometimes is just like, oh, man. But like I said, as an official, I just sit back and I watch their play calling, and I'm like, okay, whatever. I'm not going to argue their play calling, but like if they call my kid traveling when he's out of bounds and he's making an inbounds play and all he did was take a step, and I'm like, whoa, and I go crazy. I'll go out on the court.
So many officials don't know that rule.
That's the number one. It was such a big deal for me as a coach, an ex-ref, and as a coach. I had that in my rules book marked and highlighted because
they always think you can't move your feet at all. Like, and when you're inbounding, you can't literally move your feet. I'm like, you can.
And I think you guys talked about it with Sport and Victor.
We did.
And like by rule, it's 3 feet. Yeah. So like it's literally 3 feet this way, 3 feet this way.
Yeah.
It's not 3 feet total, but officials don't know. They just go, no, it's travel. And then they call the wrong. It's like, hey, first off, it's not a travel because the ball's not even live. Yeah. So it's an out of bounds. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Right.
And so it's like you messed up you called it wrong and you messed it all up by calling it a travel when it's not even a live ball. It's just an out of bounds, whatever it may be, And so it's just, that's the super annoying part when it comes to that. Just knowing the rules and just...
And I think it's not going to absolve kids and parents. It's a new pandemic on both sides with officials getting into altercations and coaches getting. I remember. I shared it on my IG. Did you all see they said the AAU Halloween costume, and it was the referee and the coach choking each other. And I saw that video like when it first came out. I'm like, damn, that is so. You know what I mean? Like, and it is. It's a serious problem. I mean, I'm competitive. I think all of us in this room are competitive. We want to win in the heart of the game, in the moment, right? But I don't know. For me, when the game's over, it's over. You know what I mean? Win or lose, it's over. So
because no matter what, if you had a game at 10, well, shit, you're playing probably an hour or 2 hours.
Yeah,
later. It don't matter that much.
You can't hold on to it.
Exactly.
Yeah. But it's so crazy because we're dealing with so many parents, and unfortunately, like you said, younger officials that are kind of getting thrown into the fire and things like that. And it's I don't like the atmosphere. I don't think the majority of AAU of officials and coaches are out here wanting to fight or be violent, but I do think it's getting to a point where there does need to be some checks and balances for all of it. You know what I mean? I don't know exactly how.
Yeah.
You know, you could hire private security, but then that's an extra cost. That's how gyms look at it, right? That's an extra cost. Now I'm paying someone to be here, X amount of hours. Even for hardwood, we're right down the street from a county jail.
Yeah.
So it's like, I tell people, hey, if you get in trouble here, you're going right around the corner, right? So I don't know. I don't know if there's a fix. I don't know. It's like I said, in that video, I just think that's a symptom of kind of what's becoming a problem is this whole, everybody's quick to throw hands over a disagreement or an argument or any heated moment. But whether it be coaches, whether it be players, whether it be officials to coaches, parents to officials, parents to parents, it's just I feel like it's gotten worse. I don't know if your guys.
It is.
I think you said, Mel, I think referees need to have tougher skin, I guess you would say, right?
Yeah, rabbit ears. But
I think at the same time, now I think the last couple of years, parents and coaches feel like they can just say whatever they want to referees.
Mm-hmm.
Right? And think about as much as we can say about hey, you're taking advantage of, don't take advantage of these kids' monies for they're playing. These referees don't make that much money.
No, they
right?
don't.
They're not
it's
here
bullshit.
to try to hear.
You guys can't treat them like that.
You're at Harvard. They're not trying to hear you just talk shit the whole time.
Yeah.
They're here from 8 to 12. Some of these guys ref all day, right?
And those are the refs you want to stay away from because when you're reffing, I'll look at the ref and I go, "How many games today, man?" He's like, 8, and I'm like, 8. Like
by number 5,
hey,
they're like
you should work 3 games, 4 maybe max, and then it's a wrap. But that's like on the assigner. The assigner who assigns the referees, it's like, hey man, you got a 3-game, 4-game max. I'm not going to work you 8 games because, like you said, by that 5th game, which I think is more like the 4th game, they start to walk and they're making
when I know I have games after 5 p.m. and that referee's been there, I'm like, shit.
All day. You're like, God damn. Yeah. You already know what you're in for, and especially when you have younger kids. You already know you're getting bottom of the barrel refs.
Do you think it's because they don't have enough officials?
Yeah, there's definitely a lack of officials, and then it's like the officials that are there to just collect the check. They're there, CTC. They're collecting the check,
right?
And then they don't care. They're just out there. Right. And then
did you just think of that?
Like what?
Did you just think of that? The CTC?
No, it was something that we've always said.
I like that.
Collect the check.
Yeah, that was great.
They're there to collect the check. I could have been real cool.
I know, right?
Freestyle, man. I was freestyling. I had the headphones, the mic. I'm like spitting bars.
I love that.
Now.
I love that.
No, but CT, they're there just to collect the check. And it's like I saw you today in the first play. It was the tip ball with backcourt. Back. Yes, backcourt. And you're trying to talk to them, and they're just ignoring you, right? Yeah. You're just like, man, I just want to. Well, then, what was the call?
You know what? He went baseline. I told him, he's like, Coach, you've already asked me enough times. And I was like, I need to know the answer.
But nobody told me.
You're allowing backcourt violation now. Yeah.
But we already know too at Hardwood Palace. And Hardwood Hoops League, we already know what we're going to get.
2 things.
It's a waste of time to even say anything.
You're just I was on court 7. Yeah. Right now, I got 2 guys out there. Yeah, I'm on court 7. Jesus Christ! At least if I'm on court 1, I want to know. I have one person.
And that's still kind of rocky too on court 1. You're just like, oh god.
And the crazy part is like Hardwood Hoops. That's the majority of basketball. That's the moneymaker. That's what keeps the lights on. Then the rec basketball. Like again, I say it on this show, and I try to give advice to AAU coaches because, of course, I think a lot of younger AAU coaches or new aspiring programs or what do they always say? I want the high level kids. I want to do the high level stuff. I want to be on the circuit. I want to blah blah blah. I'm like, you don't understand. The higher the level, the more issues you're gonna deal with.
More drama.
Like you just don't get it. Like and the reality is the money is in bad basketball. That's just where the money is, and it's not a bad thing because again, that's where kids figure out, is basketball for me? Am I going to be good at it? The camaraderie, the community of it. I still think it's all very, very needed, right? Mm-hmm. It's just you do have to understand there's nuances to every culture. Mm-hmm. So I don't care what sport you play. You can be in soccer, volleyball, football, baseball. There's a culture in everything, right? But no, but just circling back to the reaction to the video, I think I'm big on this show. It's just saying parents got to do better, kids got to do better, officials got to do better. We got to get back to remembering like the love of the sport, the love of the community of basketball and the culture of it. That's just where I think if we all come into it with that understanding that, yes, in the heat of competition, things get heated, things happen. That's not going to go away, right? You can see it at the professional level, and those guys are millionaires. Like, clearly that's going to happen. But I think if we always remember, like, this is still ultimately about development and about just enjoying the game, because it's safe to say we all love the game.
Yeah.
Just do that. You know what I mean? I try to remind my parents that anyway. Now, it doesn't always work, but I try.
Yep.
Last question I was thinking about, but with this one, I remember you talked about you had to deal with, someone wanting to fight you, all that
man,
stuff.
the drama, man.
Like how many? I know I've been in those positions. I've had an official try to fight me before. It's been so crazy. But I think we've all had those heated moments or things like that. How do you maneuver that type of shit?
Well, right off the bat, I was just out in the parking lot here, and I happened to. Well, it was it's never the kid's fault when it comes down to it. It's always the parents. And so, I just had a set of parents. Their older son was playing for me on their older team. Things they wanted to go. Grass is greener on the other side, so they wanted to leave the program. I'm like, hey, that's cool. Just let me know. Of course, I found out from somebody else who texted me that day he's on tryouts. I'm like, now I feel a certain way about it.
Right.
So that whole thing was gone. So I said, hey, go do your thing. It's all good. Don't worry about it. They're like, all right. So then their younger son was playing with me on my team, and I had two separate situations. He's one of our main guys. Yeah. And we're talking a fourth grade team, right? So I'm like, it's all good. I'm not holding anything against this boy here. We're winning. We had a tournament. We won. Praise the boy. Everything is good. And then what happened exactly? Oh, it got to a point where I don't want to mess with the parents anymore. So it's not with the boy. It's just like, hey, listen, I know what these parents are about. They're about themselves. Yeah.
You just want to coach their kid.
It's all good. Yeah. And I said, hey, listen, so I don't want any drama, and I have a zero tolerance when it comes to that stuff. So I just said, hey, listen, we don't need you anymore. I don't need you on my team. You're done. The boy, of course, I'm the bad guy all the time, but hey, it's just how I work. So I just want zero, tolerance with all that. So I just said, hey, you guys will be fine. Do your thing. I'm going to do my thing.
It's not a good fit.
No, it's just not going to work, So, and then, then he approached me outside in the parking lot, and he's just, cussing me out, calling me names. I'm like, okay, what are we doing right now? You want to fight over a fourth grade team? Is that what you're doing? I said, isn't this what you guys wanted though? And he's just like, what, F you and F this, let's go right now. And I'm like, hey, listen. And this dude's from my homeland of Hawaii too. So it just goes to show that I don't care where you're from or who you are. Yeah. When you're acting a certain way, and I say a zero tolerance is a zero tolerance, man, I just don't have time for it. So like he's approaching me in an aggressive manner, and it got to a point like we're out in the parking lot, and I have more to lose than he does. He's nothing. Right. So like if I'm in the parking lot fighting this dad, people see it's gonna make me look bad.
Oh, Coach Mel.
It just looks bad, man. Yeah. So I'm sitting there looking at him, and I said, okay, you're talking. Hey, listen, go ahead. Throw the first punch and see what happens, man. And we're right there in the parking lot. Nobody's around. And when I looked at him in the face and I said that, he kind of glanced away like he thought about it. And when he did that, I'm like, dude, you're not about it. Because if you were about it, you would have done something already. I said, hey, man, just get inside. Just get lost. Just get out of here. And he's just, cussing me out as he walks away. I'm like, hey, listen, you don't scare me, man. You think you intimidate me? So it was one of those situations where I'm like,
and we all grown ass men at this point.
Yeah, you know what I mean? It's just like, hey, take your boy, go do something else. There's so many programs here you can choose from, right? So it's like, and that's when that incident happened, and I was just like, man, there's those points where I'm like, you get those nerves where you're like, man, you're grinding your teeth, but you're like, after a while, all the name calling, it's like, what are you, 12 years old, dude? It's like, come on, man, get a hold of yourself, man. So, like I said, I had a lot more to lose than him, but I told him, hey, okay, if you're talking all this game, go ahead, throw the first punch and see what happens. And he didn't, like I figured he wasn't. And that's where it just got swept under the rug. And so he just walking around all puffy chest. And I'm just like, whatever, man. Get lost, dude. Like, get lost.
No. So, well, have you ever had a crazy couple moments or shit like that?
I was probably, I was a high school freshman basketball coach. I don't even know if I'm allowed to say the school, but I was a high school freshman basketball coach. And at that time, you know how like usually when you do cuts, you just post numbers or names.
Yeah, of course.
At the school I was at, it was like face to face. Like you had to just let them know. Yeah, you had to say, hey, you didn't make the team, or hey, you made the team, whatever it was. And at the school I was at, we did it in like a classroom outside the gym. We basically had cut one kid. The kid leaves. You know, he seemed fine of it. Obviously, he probably was mad. Another kid comes in. The dad comes in of the kid.
Oh, jeez.
Right? Threatening us.
Oh.
How dare you cut my kid, and you kept this kid. Like, and the next kid that was coming in, we didn't even talk to the kid, right? this kid, like, this freshman kid, right? So this kid's like probably pissing his pants because he's like, what the hell's going on with his dad? And, you know, I text our varsity coaches, hey, this is the situation. They had to get like on-campus police, basically escort him out.
That's crazy.
So he was threatening you guys? Like,
Oh, yeah. So the crazy thing was, at every game we were at, he was filming us, right? And then the school had to hire like basically like an investigator saying that we didn't do any favoritism of keeping kids. Because at that time I was coaching AU, so they thought I kept a lot of the AU kids I coached that went to that school.
Gotcha.
Which wasn't even the case.
Yeah.
Right.
And
It just looked bad.
Yeah, they had a lawyer come out. Like we had to do like statements, but he was like recording us because he thought we were favorites. And then this kid ended up being a kid that he went to 4 different high schools in 4 years.
Go
There we
figure.
go.
But the dad was trying to say, well, hey, like we were playing favoritism, whatever. And then I was like, I talked to my assistant this. I was like, is this really happening? Like our stipend check at high school is gonna be under a minimum wage.
Yeah, it's not even worth it.
Yeah, it's not even worth
When you
it.
do
Like,
the breakdown,
For real, when
Yeah.
you do the breakdown, you're
Yeah.
making like $2 an hour,
Yeah.
man.
no,
Like, wait.
it really is. And I think parents don't realize that, right? Like I'm like, no, like
that lump sum check, you're like, ooh. And then when you break it down, you're like,
yeah.
man, come on,
Right.
all the time too, on top of that?
That's
But
reimbursement.
then that's when I realized I'm like, at that time I was like, do I really want to coach basketball?
Yeah.
Like this dad's threatening me because we cut his kid. Like, and you know how like you guys seen high school stuff, right? It's so political. It's like shit's different than AU.
It is. It is.
They would, yeah, that's definitely a buzzkill.
Yeah.
That's definitely a buzzkill.
That's crazy. Yeah, I don't know why it's just I got a million stories myself, but screw all that. I've said them on other episodes. I want to hear your guys'. With that being said, too, with the high school, that was another question I was going to talk to you guys about. Obviously, AAU basketball and high school basketball, and I'm mainly talking high school and above, not cut away from the youth side. Different atmospheres. This is what I describe it as. I say it's the same sport played a different way. You know what I mean? In terms of obviously you're playing like the political side of things. The system side of things, the AAU, the mechanism of high school AAU is really to showcase ability and talent so the coaches can get a perspective on what this kid can do. High school is about the system, the camaraderie, the culture, the history, and, trying to achieve a goal, which is obviously a state title or a section title or whatnot. What do you guys kind of see some of the pros and cons? The biggest, I'll just say for me, and I've said it before, the biggest pro and con I see is I think a lot of high school varsity coaches look at AAU as an adversarial entity. They look at us like us against them, right? And I'm trying to make it very clear, it's neither is superior to the other. I think both are needed. You know what I mean? I've had parents say to me like, if my kid doesn't play high school ball, can they just play AAU and potentially make it to college still? I said, yes, but it's very difficult. Just like if your kid only played high school ball and didn't play AAU, it would still be very difficult unless you are at what I call a legacy high school. If you're at Modesto Christian, you're good. You know what I mean? You're at Jesuit to a degree. You're good. There's certain high school, but if your kid's at San Juan, no, I don't care if you're dropping 50 a game. You're at a D5. Like, it's very, very hard to convince a school to say, I'll take a chance on you unless you're, really stand out. That's why you need AAU. I just don't know, well, especially what you have in your son in high school and things like that, and you've been around enough high school stuff. Like, why do you think that is, or where do you think this comes from? Or is
I think it's an ego. I think it's an ego thing. I've got rubbed the wrong way by high school coaches because I'm an AAU coach, and right off the bat, they're like, oh, I can't stand AAU coaches. And I'm like, dude, I just said I'm an AAU coach. Why would you say like now you're insulting me? I'm like, hey, listen, I get it. There are programs that are bad and not teaching the kids the right way, and I get it all. But like my program's a little bit different. So I think the perspective of high school coaches, I think that they feel threatened by the AAU world. And I mean, honestly, it's kind of gearing towards that way. I mean, it's different now. Like I feel that the high school coaches don't have as much power as they used to back in the day.
They for sure don't.
They don't.
Sure
and
don't.
So like, you know, the kids are like playing their high school ball, and it's good system, learning a different style of play. They have to make adjustments in their game. They got to box out. All those little things that high school coaches teach are great, and they just got to learn how to work together, because it's like I've seen over the years high school coaches accepting it. They're like, hey guys, I know you guys got your AAU teams. Before it used to be like, hey, you guys got that AAU shit crap that you're doing now.
Right.
But now it's more accepting. And I think, they just got to learn to work together. I think it's an ego thing. I think high school coaches feel threatened in the ego, and they're not the guy to go to. And it's more or less like, what's the AAU coach? I mean, you guys know. They're like, they want to talk to you. And they're like, they only get like a month or so with these kids. Like the AAU coaches are spending all the time with them,
years with them,
and they know the parents. So of course you got college coaches and, you know, whoever it may be, recruiters talking to you like, how are the parents? They're asking the AAU coach, not so much the high school coach anymore. Mm-hmm. I've seen it kind of transitioning that way. I just think it's an ego thing, and they just got to learn how to work together. High school coaches need to learn how to work together with the AAU programs, not necessarily like physically work with them, but they just got to accept it. And like you said, there are high school coaches that have the respect, and, you know, and then there are some that are just so negative towards the AAU thing. And that part, I'm like, I mean, there are programs that teach kids the right way and teach things and, you know, and life lessons, and there's, you know, things behind it. But then you can't say all AAU, you know, I hate it, because then I just see you coaching your son in AAU.
And the feeder programs, we know how.
So why are you saying that? I just had this conversation and you just despised, and then you're over in Reno with your team, and I'm like, dude, come on, man.
Exactly.
And like, I'll talk to you off camera who this conversation was with.
Right.
For me, it was amusing because and I'm like, who's this dude talking to me? Let me make some text. Do you know this guy? And then I would text that, and they're like, oh yeah, this dude he's a puppet guy.
Right.
And so I'm like, oh, okay. So he's pretty much, because this guy came at me hard, and I'm like, dude, I don't even know you.
Right.
And I met this dude out in Tahoe, and he was friends of a friend, and I'm just like, dude, why are you coming at me all hard and crooked, dude? I'm just like, hey, you know so-and-so? Yeah, well, you know, he just kind of big-timed me, and I'm like, okay. But I'll tell you, you'll know who it is, and you'll probably get a good kick of it.
I'm sure I will.
No, you will. You work with him. You will.
Great. What about you, Tom? You have a perspective on the high school and
I think
AU side?
You've done it both, too, Tom.
Yeah,
so.
I would say, like you said, there's ego, and I think there's a lot of people that want to take credit for these kids, right? They want to be like, all right, I got this kid out, or I got this kid out. And there's some coaches, you know, like for me, I don't ever care, like if a kid gets a scholarship or whatever it is. But I think some people want to take the credit. I always tell people, like, I think the reason why high school coaches before didn't like AU coaches, they would just think of negatively. But then I always say, you're a high school coach, you get these kids 5 days a week for practice. Right, so the negativity that you have for an AU coach, like you said earlier, it is hard for us to get gym time.
Yeah.
So for some of us, you know, we might, on a great week, you might get a team 2 days a week to get their whole team there. So it's tough, right? So we only get a short window of time with some of these kids, and I guess you get a lot of backlash from high school coaches because, well, what are you teaching these kids or whatever it is, right? But shit, you only get them for 2 days a week, and like you said, if you have high school kids. Some of these kids have jobs that you don't even get them, like you might not even.
I'm lucky if all my kids can make it to practice.
Yeah.
So I think that's where, like, if there was no ego with anyone, and we're like, hey, we're here to help you guys to get your kids better. So that way, when they get back to you in high school for, you know, June for summer league, fall league, and winter, you won't need to work on certain things.
Yeah, because I can say for me personally, I do have high school coaches who I've have great relationships with, and we've worked together. You know, I speak highly of Coach Holloway at Vanden. He's literally sent Vanden kids to me. You know what I mean? Those kids are in Fairfield.
Awesome.
You know what I mean? They're taking a 45-hour and a half minute
that
drive.
shows a lot too.
You know what I mean? Like he's like, no, I want you to go to this guy, Chris. Like I appreciate. And Clark at Ponderosa, I've had. He's sent kids my way. He's the reason Aaron Bliss played for me for a little while. Like he's. You know, there are some coaches that get it. There are some coaches that get it.
Listen, then there's some high school coaches that might not like you. And they're like, no, you don't go play there.
Yeah.
I mean,
absolutely.
at the JC level, we know there are certain schools that we might not get any kids from because for some reason their coach says, hey, don't go there.
Yeah.
You shouldn't go there.
Absolutely.
Right. And I think that's a tough thing with some high school coaches too, right? They're like, why are you going to go play for them?
Mm-hmm. Taylor, I'll say it. I say it all the time, but Taylor's not a fan of me at Rocklin. I don't even know why, but he's just not. I've never met.
Taylor, is it?
I've never met the man. I've never had a conversation with him, but I think he just.
It was funny. We kind of had a conversation through text, and I think he labeled me as one of those AAU coaches. And I said, hey, listen, I don't run my program that way. There are legit programs that have systems. I said I have a system, and you can always tell a good coach when they're yelling at their kids for something. And they're losing their mind over boxing out. I'm like, that coach is good. Yeah. Those little things, you know what I mean? And teaching them. So it's like, I get it though, why they react that way towards the AU coaches, because there's a lot of pop-up, mom and pop shops that are just popping up, pop-up clubs. Yeah. And they last for about a year and a half, 2 years, and they're preaching to these kids the wrong way, you know, or they're doing it just for their son and they're just like in it, daddy ball, that whole saying. We haven't gotten into that.
No, we're
man,
no.
I gotta. Yeah. So, anyways, navigating through that is kind of cool. So I've had a conversation through text message, but I also stay out of it. You know, I don't want to be a part of like Taylor, do your thing. Yeah. You know what I mean? Here's my son, do your thing. Hey, yell at him, get after him. Like when I see him yell at Kaino, I'm like, good, man, that's what he needs. You know, it's just, that's part of I get it as a coach. I get it. It's the job. It's what you signed up for. But we have a good relationship because I think it's the perception. And, you know, he's sometimes working at Hardwood and he would see me coaching the kids. And I think he saw what I'm doing and he's like, oh. And I think I think it's accepted more, you know what I mean? But I just kind of stay away from, you know, trying to buddy with the coaches. I respect them as hey coach, and I just sit in my little, you know, corner or behind the bench and I just watch and I enjoy it just being a dad versus a coach, right? You know, there's certain things you kind of go,
right,
doing something a little bit different, but you know, hey, it's all good.
But on the flip side, they probably think of that of us too. So it's like it's whatever. Like
so, I just I get it though, but I don't understand like. I think it's like I said, it's just the perception, and there's a lot of people out there that hate me, and then when they meet me and they or their son is playing for me, then they're like, man, we always thought that you were this and that, and I'm like, no, I get it. I probably look like some lunatic sometimes when I'm yelling at these kids, and they're just like, oh, that dude's an asshole, I don't like him. But then it's like, but my kids are working so hard, and then when you win, they hate you even more because they're like, that coach is dirty. I'm like, I'm not dirty.
There's just a perception. I think high school coaches just have a perception of AU coaches, and they don't really know the person, right? So it's just easy to judge someone just off the perception of it.
Mm-hmm. And that's, I'm a percentage guy, right? So like being an official, I know these officials don't want to call fouls right off the bat.
Right.
So I coach my kids to play hard. Hey, put pressure on the officials. Let's see what they make.
Right.
See if they make that call. If not, let's roll the dice. Let's keep going. Play hard. So the perception of my boys are like, oh, they're out of control and they're playing dirty and they're playing hard. No, I'm rolling the dice. So like I'm watching the officials. If they start calling,
we tone it back.
Okay, tone it back. But if not, we're going to keep playing until they make the adjustment. And then they look at me as, oh, that coach is, you know, he's cheating and he's like, you know, he's dirty. And I'm like, no, I'm just playing the odds because I know how these officials work. You know, they just want CTC. They want to collect that check and get out. And they're just like, because every time they blow that whistle, that clock stops. And, you know, for the most part. But so they'll just let things play through. And then we'll get away with 2 or 3, and then they'll start to call them like, all right, boys, we got our 2 or 3 out.
Yeah,
so
but that's part of the game. I tell my athletes, so I coach my boys, I say, man, it's a contact sport. Mm-hmm. You signed up to play a contact sport, and that there's nothing in the clause that says if you get touched, you get a foul. Like No, you play a contact sport, deal with it. Like, you know what I mean? Just manage it and deal with it.
It's that game. It's inside the game. Yeah.
And because it gets harder, it doesn't get easier.
Yeah.
Okay. So hold on. Let me get my theme music for this part. I wanted to talk about mercenary teams. Wanted to get your guys' thoughts on that because we obviously know that's become, like you said, a big ramp in terms of these teams where coaches just gather the best players for whatever and just try to go basically win medals and win trophy chasing programs and things like that. Not even teams where they're getting games where they're getting better at basketball, where it's just simply I talked to the coach from Port City or the director about this, where it's like he enjoys going against a coach and a team that's challenging him, where you can run sets and do those things and really play the game. But I feel like more and more there's more, like you said, pop-up programs of teams that just, come play for me. 2 kids from Control Chaos. Okay, 2 kids from North Cal Dynasty. Okay, 2 kids from YBA. Okay, all right, here, run a 2-3. Let's just play basketball, right? Like, that bothers me personally, because I just think that's not necessarily the objective of what we're supposed to be doing, but obviously it's not going to go away because I know for a fact a lot of these coaches that do this, they pay for the tournaments. They will pay out of pocket themselves
to get those players. Yeah.
And I tell people, I love your kids, but I ain't paying for that shit. You know, I mean, I got my own kids. I ain't paying for yours. So, you know, just curious to your guys' thoughts on that.
Well, mine, I'm a system guy, so I have a set system, and it's so hard to grab a kid here and say, hey, man, this is what you're doing. When the ball goes to the wing, you're going to flash. And it just doesn't work for me. I can't do it. And I've never tried to do it. I'm just set in my ways. And I think that's why I like to have my own program, because I do what I do. And if it doesn't work or the parents don't like it, then they can just leave and it's all good. I don't care. I just don't work that way. It's hard. I can't do it. Some coaches can do it. I just can't. I'm so set on having that system. You go here where the ball goes here, you go here, whether it be defense, I'm okay. Man defense, just help. You know what I mean? Switch picks, but like when it comes to sets, that's when I'm like, man, it hurts.
Because the kid don't know what to do.
Because I've had a kid come play for me because we were short. Yeah. And I'm like, man, we can't run that play because he doesn't know what to do. And so it's like, so let's just kind of just pass and cut. It's like, man.
Exactly.
It just takes away from
takes away from the game and getting better and whatnot. Like
it throws me off. I just I'm spun out. I'm sitting on the bench like, damn, this sucks, man.
Right. I just go, okay, run pick and roll. Let's figure it out from there.
We needed that player to play with us because we had 5 or something. Right. And it's just like, whatever, we'll get by. But yeah, I can't even coach multiple teams. I don't even know how you guys do it, man. I'm good with one. I did 2, and I'm like, ooh, this is a lot. So when you guys are like, I got 7 games today, and I'm like, dude, I cannot do that. This dude's setting records over at Hardwood. Like, I got 11 games. And I'm like, how do you do it, Tom? We always talk about that. I just can't. I cannot do it, man. Well, let's just be real. My wife wouldn't let me do it. All right, let's just keep this real.
That's why I appreciate you guys hanging out with me so late right now.
Oh, no, it's all good. Like, hey, my wife took the kids home. I'm like, hey, we can do this all night. This is like the club for me, man. You know, so yeah, that's my take on it. That's my take on it.
What do you got? Any thoughts on? Yeah, I know we talked about the mercenary team stuff. Yeah, but
I don't mind playing those teams, but I think at the same time, when you play sometimes those teams, it's a disrespect on the game where they don't try as hard, right? So now you're kind of half-assing it, right? So you're not really playing hard. I don't want to say it's like a recess, a pickup. It's almost like a pickup game. Yeah, right? You're paying for a pickup game, and so for me, like in the spring and summer, I stick with whatever I have. Like I'm rolling with the group I have. When it becomes like fall ball and like
that's when it's kind of the drop in time. I'm the same way.
I'll randomly just get kids. Hey, they want to play like
because they want to just have a ball in their hand before high school ball starts. Or something.
But when it's like the spring and summer, when it's like full swing, I just think there's no like character in the game out of it. Right? There's no integrity out of it, and it's just like it. I always think someone's going to get hurt because you have teams that they're just trying to cherry pick. Like, I mean, we played like 3 weeks ago, and this is the fall, so just remember the kid literally said, Coach, can I get a breakaway dunk? On the other team asked me, like, I'm going to cherry pick a half court. Can you let your team let me get
Can you
a
let
dunk?
my team let me get a dunk?
Right? Like, it's just stuff like that. And I'm like, man, like, this is what the game's kind of gone to now.
Yeah. Well, because there's so many tournaments, so many, games going on. Like, the kids, the games start to have less weight.
Yeah.
For the older kids, I say. Like, I still think for, like, the little kids, it still matters a lot.
Yeah.
The hardwood metal, feels good, all that stuff. But obviously,
confidence builder.
Yeah, the high school guys is where it really creates that weird, like, I'm just going through the motions effect. Like, for example, this, and again, I was going to ask you about this anyway. Like, you did that video, which went semi-viral with Driffty Jay when he was, being a girl and playing girls ball and all that stuff. And that was hilarious. It was a great joke. It was a great way to have fun with AAU, because I do think people need to see the fun side of AAU and us not take it all super serious, right? Because we don't all the time. Like, but
you know how much shit I got from people?
That I know you did.
Yeah, you're gonna get hate.
They're like, you let him play with you guys, like, and I was like, what do you like?
Everyone thinks it's real.
It's obvious it was a joke.
Yeah,
it was obvious.
If you zoomed in on the trophy, it said like 2021. Like,
Yeah, it was an old
League
trophy.
champion.
Yeah,
like,
they don't understand content.
Yeah.
Though,
Right,
you know what I mean?
right.
So when I saw it, I'm like, oh, this is so funny. This is brilliant.
Brilliant.
Just go roll with it.
Just
You know
because
what I
I'm
mean?
seeing him, I know you, so I'm sitting there like, oh, this is fucking hilarious. Like, you know what I mean?
We know the setup, but there are people that are like, how dare?
no, seriously, I was getting text messages. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
And I'm like, now, do you think we've gotten? Because now we talked about some of these joke teams, some of these. Now you got little kids coaching and making these little joke teams. I think one is in this tournament I'm about to play right now, and it's like, damn, do you think we're going too far on the other end now? Like, because now
now that's where it gets to like the NIL stuff, right? Like we talked about. I'll use Jay, for example, for Driffty Elite. He's done his girl teams. He's done some boys teams where he had even Bronny's brother.
Bryce James on his team.
But what he's done, and I see the flip side. I see his side of it, right? I think what he's done, because he has such a following, that he's boosted some of these kids' followers now.
Yes,
and
absolutely.
helped their content, right? Harper, we've talked about
Harper needs to keep boosting her content.
So then, like, he had posted his team that he had this girls' team, and she instantly had like, I think 1,000, it might have been more, 1,000 followers right off his post.
Yep.
Right. So he's actually helped people. And I see the other side, right? I see like the old school saying, well, he's disrespecting the game by doing this. But at the same time, he's not doing it like during club season.
Yes. Yeah. He's doing this like
he's
you
doing
said.
it in fall. Right? And I always tell people like fall ball, like when I tell parents like, well, how's the season going to be, right? In fall, I'm like, it's really for you to just stay in shape for high school season.
Exactly. Keep a ball in your hand, get some reps. You know what I mean?
Work on certain techniques, but like it's not like full swing like it is in the spring and summer.
I tell a lot of my parents, fall ball's for 6th grade and below.
Yeah.
In my opinion, like the younger kids. I'm more like, even right now, I'm more focused on my 5th and 6th grade group, because we do have that weird rule. And that was probably going to be my last talking point, with the middle school not being able to play AAU during middle school ball, the 7th and 8th grade, they can't. And then obviously high school guys are gearing up for their seasons. Yeah. So this period is kind of for the younger guys, right? And the high school guys, and I tell them, just keep a ball in your hand, like keep your reps up. I know for me, I kind of use it as a recruitment time too, to kind of get kids, hey, you want to guest play with me and stuff. Hey, next year I'm having my circuit team. Would you like to come play? I use it as a recruitment tool.
Oh, so it all makes sense.
Now. Yeah. Now you get it. Now you get it. This is a damn sure recruitment tool. I will firmly say that. I'm always in. My transfer portal is always open.
That's funny.
Shit. But no, like, it is kind of. I don't have a problem with what Driffty Jay and like Marcellus and these basketball content creators do. I think it's fun. I do think it's the Hollywood version of basketball. Yeah. You know what I mean? Because the reality is some of these guys are more famous than NBA players. Mm-hmm. They just are. Yep. You know what I mean? I know more kids that know Marcellus Perry than they do like, the 12th man on the Bucks. You know what I mean? Like they know him. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? And I don't think that's a bad thing. I think it's just another way for people to not only make money in basketball, but also help the culture of basketball. Because we are a worldwide sport by now.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And we're a pretty damn popular one at that. Because it's you can see it in the Olympics, man. Like teams are competitive. Some of these teams you could put them, you can make them an NBA team and they would compete. Now they wouldn't win, but they damn sure would compete.
It's definitely evolving.
Yeah. So I don't have a problem with the basketball content creators and what they do. But have I seen some teams where it's like, well, this is freaking ridiculous. You know what I mean?
There's been a lot of those.
Yeah.
Yeah. But it was one weekend they did Sexy Red Elite and something.
Kainoa, what was that? That was that Sexy Red Elite and something else.
Yeah, I was like, what the hell are y'all doing?
Yeah.
And it's just
what was that other team? What was the team that Kainoa them put together?
They all had
singer.
Instagram pages. And
they created Instagram.
Yeah.
I was like, oh my God.
I was like,
real.
I don't want any part of this. Kainoa was doing it, and he was like, hey, Dad, can you coach us? I said, no.
Hell no.
Nope.
I don't want to be associated
Not
with
going to
it.
do it. I don't want to even be a part of this circus, man. So he's like, oh, well, we're going to do this. I go, who's coaching you guys? Who's going to keep you guys in line? Who's going to sub who out? Like, how are you guys going to navigate through this, man? He's like, oh, well, one of the trainers is going to come. And then I go, you guys, it's a shit show.
Right.
It's like, what are you guys doing, man? They're having fun.
So my only worry
it was like,
I think we talk about it. My only worry about that sometimes with those, when they do that, when it's a group like that, and let's say they don't have a real coach, is if you play a team that is the actual team, right? And then all of a sudden, like I'm not saying showboating, but you're doing certain things. Like we talked about this. I had some kids before, right? I was like, hey, don't be surprised if someone just punches
you in the face. Yeah, you
knocks your legs out.
And I'm not saying that it's a right thing, but like
you can only push a kid so far.
So sometimes they might think it's disrespectful. Right?
It is disrespectful.
If you're showing off on dunks and stuff, like I always tell people, like those are the teams you have to worry about because then all of a sudden you might go up, they might just clip you one time, undercut you, right? And so that's where that gets tricky. Like if it's content creator versus content creator, and they're doing that.
That's different.
That's different.
They understand.
That was the conversation we had. But when you're playing against a team that's traveling from Stockton or something, and they're like, what is this?
Yeah.
What's going on? And these kids are just doing all this, passing it to a coach out of bounds to shoot it, and it's like, what the hell are you guys doing?
Yeah.
It's disrespecting. And I was just like, don't be a part of that, dude. And I said, Kainoa, that's the reason why Dad wasn't going to coach. Because I wasn't going to. Well, if I was coaching, it would be different. They wouldn't like it. It would be like, oh, no, we're doing things like this.
Yeah.
You guys are going to just free for all, you know?
Right.
But I wasn't going to be a part of that, man. Sexy Red Elite. That was like Canyon and Mark. And I mean, even Jacob was playing.
The best
and
is when they had like the welcome, like that post.
Yeah. Oh,
Yeah.
bro.
I told them, I said, you two needed to play each other. Like that. What was that? I go, what
the other teammate. I can't remember the other teammate.
What was it? It was another singer girl.
Yeah, it was.
That was the team that Kainoa put together. That was his idea. Him and his buddy. I'm like, where are you getting these uniforms from? You're not using my uniforms because he's like, hey, Dad, what? I go, no. I don't know what you guys do. Get your shirts and some markers, dude. You ain't using my uniforms. And he's just like, so this dude hustled and went to like Walmart and saw some butterfly tank tops. And I said, who put the numbers on there? He goes, I just did the, it was like the iron-on ones, self-adhesive. And I'm like, you did that? I go, dude. And he was on the phone calling it. Hey, you want to play? He called Driffty to coach them. And I'm like, oh my gosh, man. So he's like on the phone calling. He's like, oh my gosh, Dad, I just got so-and-so. I'm like, I wish you put this much effort into school.
Hey, right?
He was in there from Friday, Saturday, Sunday. He made the team. He's like, Dad, I'm so excited. I'm like, how are you going to pay for it? Yeah. Where are you getting the money from?
Right.
I'm not paying shit. And he goes, I'm going to collect the money from I go, so then I'm getting calls from like, hey, Steve. Steve's like, hey, Mel. I go, no, I don't know. That's Kainoa's thing. Yeah. Like those, you better pay Steve. Yeah. You better pay him. Like, don't even like, So he's like, no, Dad, I got it handled. I give him credit. He did do it. But I told him, you and Canyon needed to play each other. That Sexy Red Elite and your butterflies, whatever it is, you guys needed to play each other. That's fun.
That's fun, exactly.
But like playing against a team that's trying to do something, and it's just like, that's not cool.
Yeah.
I didn't like it. I frowned on it.
Yeah,
I was hating.
Right,
Dad was hating on it. I was hating on it.
This is what it is, man.
And then they're paying like a mixtape guy to come out there and video. It's like, what the? I go, who paid for that guy? He's like, oh, I did that. I had my money. That I'm like, oh my gosh, you just blew all your money on this thing, huh? you blew all your birthday money on this, right?
Hey, it's a life lesson, like you said.
Yeah, but it showed him that I was proud of him. That I was proud of him for organizing it.
Yes.
and getting on the phone and making the calls. And I go, look at you, dude. You're working so hard at this, man. Put a little bit of that much more in your school, man. Geez, I don't see you working on papers all weekend. You know what I mean? It's like, so it was cool. It was cool, not cool.
Yeah.
Right.
That's what it was.
Exactly. And then, well, going more, just a little more depth into that. I think there's been a big, I think we're in a really good basketball renaissance right now, just culturally overall between the NBA, basketball content creators like Ball is Life and the things they do, and you know, people making their own hoop segments and basketball. I don't know what, I guess personalities, I guess you could call it, like Marcellus, Driffty Jay, all those guys. And it's kind of cool watching guys from Sacramento, you know, really have a heavy influence in it and whatnot. Where do you guys see in the NIL deal, just everything? Where do you guys kind of see this evolving? You know what I mean?
Shoot, I don't even know, man.
It's scary when you think about it. I mean,
I've seen more like videographers and photography now at tournaments, right? Like there's
a bunch.
I would say, you know, 10 years ago, people probably don't know. There was only Balls, Life, and Year's finest.
Yeah, and simply when he was starting, you know what I mean? When he was just,
but not that much in photos. Like now, you see people that are at tournaments doing photography. I mean, I think the only thing it's going to get bigger, but I think there's going to be more people doing it, right? Like that's a craft. Like when I see people do mixtapes and all that stuff, like that's a craft that someone has, right? Like no one can just go out there and, all right, I'm going to start doing this.
And there's some really good ones out there. You know, some up and coming, you know, ones out there. One in particular, I you know, I'm biased because I'm a fan because he's a former YBA kid, so I'm biased. But you seen the Seek's Revenge?
Yep.
That's Donald. Yeah. Oh, you know,
that's
Donald.
Cool.
Yeah. Like he used to be a YBA kid and stuff.
Neat.
But
I didn't know that.
And he's in college right now. So he's doing this.
He's doing it as a side hustle.
While in college. You know what I mean?
Appreciate that.
He posted something on his page because he's going to be out tomorrow helping me with this camp. But he posted something on his page where I think people don't realize that he's living in Napa.
Yeah,
he's going to school out there.
And he's driving.
Yeah, he's driving out here 2 hours, $6 a gallon of gas, right? Doing like videos and photos for people as a college athlete.
Yes, and he's playing college ball right now. It's like, how cool is that for, you know, because it also teaches us obviously entrepreneurship, you know, how to understand money, how to make money. Like he's learning life lessons, and it's a skill that clearly can take him a lot of places. So
time management, like we talked about,
and he's still currently playing right now.
Wow.
So
I knew a kid that I coached, man. So he went to Wood Creek so he was the same year as Noah Blackwell, but as a sophomore. He was always in videography. He did Hoop Vision. So he used to do like the back, like behind the scenes, like Day in the Life with Noah Blackwell. So he got a job as an intern for the Sacramento Kings. And then the last 2 or 3 years, he was like the lead videographer in photos. So he actually won an Emmy for Kobe Bryant's passing. Like he did a tribute for
Get
Kobe
out of
Bryant.
here. Are
so
you serious?
The tribute that the Sacramento Kings did for Kobe Bryant, he's the one that created everything.
He won an Emmy?
Nice.
Yeah.
Wow.
He's now the head person at what's NBA 2K, like what video?
EA?
Is it
EA Sports,
he
EA Sports,
does now he's like he left the Kings.
Oh, like
now.
he works
for EA Sports now.
Wow, what a
But
journey.
he did that just straight off videography. Like he was just doing videos. It got him an internship at the Kings, got him a full-time job, and now he has a full-time job at EA Sports.
But that's what I'm saying, which is really cool. Like, you know, kids, people in general are finding different ways to create revenue for themselves. Because I'm big on entrepreneurship. I preach that a lot. Even though I work at UPS, that's my 9 to 5. But I'm still big on entrepreneurship.
That's a grind too, man.
Like I still, outside of being that blue collar brother working in the hub, you know, like I still value the life lesson of being an entrepreneur. And the reality, like, man, we live in California. You got to have side hustles, and different things like that. It's just expensive to live out here. It just is what it is. But I think the more the earlier kids can learn that, the better. You know what I mean?
I think it's cool too. Like if you're a kid like Donald, right? I mean, he's a college athlete, but then he's also filming and taking photos of the game he loves.
Yes.
Right, like he's doing, like he's still around the game.
There's a passion.
Yeah, there's a passion, right? So then he knows like all the ins and outs of like maybe a highlight clip or photos of what angles they get. So like now you're getting paid to do what you love.
Yep. And that's man, that's the dream we want for any of us, right?
Yeah.
Like we do something we love and, hopefully can make a living doing that. So, that's always a good thing. I think that's it for all my questions. So before we close, did you guys have any closing words or shout outs? Tom, and then Coach Mel.
I'll shout out to my wife because I told her that I was only going to be here for an hour. So shout out to you.
Yeah, and thank you for hanging in there. I appreciate you guys being here.
No, man, I love doing this, man. All I have to say is, just keep grinding, Coach. Hey, man, I'm serious, dude. Hopefully this thing takes off and does something big.
I hope so, man.
That would be awesome because there's not really anybody on the platform that's kind of diving deep into the AAU world. So I'm proud of you, dude, for doing this. So you keep grinding on this. And
I did have one more thing.
Okay, go ahead.
I've been very big on like me just teasing this guy how big time he is. Right?
Yeah.
I am not that, but thanks.
This thing is sponsored, right?
Okay, a little bit, yeah.
Okay, but who was the sponsor in the beginning?
Dr. Dish.
Do you have a Dr. Dish at your house?
No,
I don't either. This guy has a Dr. Dish and he's sponsored.
Okay.
That's
cool.
big time.
That's big time, man.
Thank you. I appreciate the compliment.
Yeah.
That is, man.
You made it.
I made it. No, far from making it. No, I mean, well,
I think something great's gonna happen.
Thanks, man.
I really do, man. And I don't know how much my prayers are worth, but I'll send some prayers to you, man. You know what I mean?
That, man.
Because I think this, especially locally here, I think there's so much going on with basketball here. We're so blessed to have, like, even though we talk about the hardwood hoops and our hardwood palace, we're so blessed to have them right here in our backyard. And I think there's just so much going on as far as basketball goes in Sacramento. And I think you're like the main hub. I can see everyone coming towards you.
You know what would be dope? And I mean, this is just off the fly.
What?
Why not do because you coach a lot, but why not have like post-game interviews or like bringing a kid in to like do a little straight podcast?
I know what you mean, but no, I've thought of doing that.
I think it helps. We talked about like the life lessons and like the people skills and talk. I think what hurts a lot of these kids is I also get high school kids, seniors like, Coach, I'm about to talk to a college coach. What do I say? Like they don't know how to talk to someone. Right. Because they're always. It's just easy to text someone on the phone.
Yeah.
Right?
They don't know how to have that dialogue. Yeah.
So, man, that could be something where you just go over there and be like, hey, just start pulling.
That's what I try to do. Like on my YouTube channel, I have I need to get back on it. I said consistency, right? That's the hard part. But I do street interviews. I was doing street interviews at Courtside and at Hardwood. I'd take kids or I'd ask, or I'd have like 3 questions and I'd just pull coaches or parents and say, hey, this, what do you think of this? Like I remember one I was asking people, should AAU basketball be free, or why do people have issues paying money for AAU basketball, or just different segments
Those are
like
great.
that.
Those are great. That's
Just trying to get a pulse on everything. I have thought of doing it, like of just trying to take a kid to the side and say, okay, what have you learned today, or what do you enjoy about it?
Because I think that's something like as much as many people have done this, right? Like a podcast or just like certain things. No one's have like tapped in on that side of it, aspect of it.
And it's like, because I mean, I listen to podcasts all the time. I listen because I'm at UPS. When I'm at work, I kind of listen to podcasts or
zone out.
Yeah, or I'm listening to audiobooks, right? That's it. And that's kind of where the idea sparked from, right? I was listening to Matt Barnes and Steven Jackson's All the Smoke, right? And I was like, okay. Well, they talk to a lot of the top end, right? They talk to the NBA players, NFL players, all the famous people, all that. I said, well, I want to create a platform and a voice for the people in the trenches. We're the grassroots side, right? We get the Jacob Gilchrist before they get to UC Davis. We get the Yakub Mears before they get to San Diego. Like, why not try to create a platform for these people to say their stories? You know what I mean? And, well, like you said, slowly but surely, I kind of, I guess, moved up the food chain little by little. I got that Bobby Jackson episode I need to get out. And I really, really liked how that episode, we had some real, like, we talk real. Like I was talking to him about his up and coming.
He's honestly the funniest guy I've ever talked to.
Yeah, man.
That's cool.
Like, bro, we talked about like how, like I have one question in particular because I wanted to make sure when I made this show, I asked the hardball question. So I asked him, I said, have you had a hard time coaching NBA guys? Or, you being at the G League level, getting guys to understand you're at this level for a reason, dude. I know you think you're better than all this shit, but like, you're not. You're here to work, to get better, to get that 10-day contract or that NBA contract. Like, we broke all that stuff down.
I can't wait to hear
And he was very honest. He did not hold back or was like, no, I don't feel comfortable with this guy. No, he's like,
he just went in.
Yeah, he's like, I'll tell you.
I love it.
I will 100% tell you. So, no, that was a really cool episode. I'm definitely going to release that one soon. So, yeah. Let me go. Oops. Oh, yeah.
Are you signing off or something?
Yeah, well, like I always got my intro.
Well, I wasn't done. I wanted to say one more thing before we go. Where's my camera? Is this my camera right here?
Yeah.
I got to put Coach Collins on the spot right now. Where was Usher at 7:00?
Oh, here we go. I saw you doing this too.
Come on,
that
man.
is hilarious.
Come on, man. Where was Usher at 7:00?
He was in his drop top, cruising the streets.
Cruising the streets. That boy, he did it. Hell yeah.
Of course I know that, man. Of course I know that.
Some people don't know it. My son,
hilarious.
Kainoa.
I saw you doing that.
Come on, man.
The younger ones knew it though, right?
My baby, Kona, he knew it. He's like, wait, what'd you say? And I'm like, dude, how do you know? That's just Kainoa. At that age, he's not listening to me.
Yeah.
Listen, one of my former players is a famous rapper, and I still find that hilarious. DB Bout a Bag or whatever. That's all these kids listen to. DB Bout.
That's so funny, man.
Like, Derek, what the fuck? Like, I know the kid. It's like he's a famous rapper now.
And then when you see these other kids looking up to him, like,
that's what I'm saying.
You're like, wait, what?
They're like, Coach, you know him? I'm like, yeah, I know him. I had to deal with him for 3, 4, 5 years.
So
like,
funny, I didn't know that, man.
Yeah, man.
When we were on that Driffty, right? When he had the girls, he's like, "So you know Driffty? Can you introduce me to him?"
It's hilarious.
Yeah, I'll call him real quick.
But again, I love that part of AAU basketball and what it entails.
Yeah.
So once again, before we sign off completely, if you made it to the end of the show, you're a real one. If you came in off and on and you made it, you're a real one. I appreciate you. Again, maybe hit that like and subscribe button if you're checking out on the YouTube. Hit the follow if you are checking it out on the audio side. Just one more. Oh, let me get some shout outs real quick. Shout out to Kai Huntsberry again. Really proud of you, kid, man. Keep your grind. Shout out to Jordan Ford, man. Great to see a hometown kid make it to that level. Shout out to Coach Barnes from Bakersfield State. Keep doing what you do, brother. We love the content. Love that you are a voice that these kids and parents need to hear because they think us you guys are all fucking crazy and we don't know what we're talking about. So keep doing what you do, brother. Again, Coach Mel, Coach Tom, I appreciate you guys being on the show. Hopefully, again, later down the line, we'll do part 2, part 3, part whatever. Like, you guys.
My pleasure, man.
Keep doing what you do. Did you guys have any thoughts or any shout outs real quick?
No. I don't know if you guys know, but I am in the aquarium hobby, and so it's super healthy for coaches to have aquariums because it reduces. This is a known fact. It reduces blood pressure, stress, and anxiety. So every coach needs your yin, your yang, your zen moment. Hostility, coaches, the whistles being blown. You come home and you zen out with your aquarium.
And I am going to send links to that because I did forget to say that part.
Oh no, it's all good.
No, they need to know that. Like this man has a great. I've watched you. I've subscribed. I've actually watched what you do. I've learned a lot about fish watching you because I had no clue.
My kids I coach had no clue. It was like a parent saw me. They're like, "Is that Coach Mel?" And so my kids see me as get back on defense, box out, and then they see this guy, they're like, and I'm like, hey, we're gonna go to the fish store. They're like, who the hell is that guy?
You're the fish whisperer,
right? Yeah. He's the fish whisperer.
So they're like, who's this guy? We don't know Coach Mel.
And then Coach Tom, the only man that tries to have a better shoe game than me. So I ain't gonna lie, I like the drip.
Yep. Thank you. Yeah.
How many pairs are you at right now?
probably around almost 7.
Ooh.
100,000?
No, 700.
Oh, okay.
Wow.
I'm telling you, man. But no, check these guys out. Please follow them, see their journey, support them. Again, thank you for listening. If you're on the audio or YouTube side, we appreciate you, and we are out.